wrapped around your soul with no control. You can't breathe when you're drowning underwater. There's so much water. I'll run, I'll hide. Darkness always clouds my mind. When I look behind, it's moving closer every time. I can't pretend that I have a strong defense. There's darkness, your friend. You get me in the end. See you at the end. At the end. Can you feel it wrapped around your soul with no control? You can't breathe when you're drowning underwater. There's so much water. I can't pretend that I have a strong defense. There's darkness, your friend. You get me in the end. See you at the end.
What's going on, folks? Will Stewart here, and it's time for another THFC rant. Tonight we are talking about the Man U match tomorrow. Are we gonna suck it up? Are we gonna step it up? Are we gonna make it into the top four? Those are the things that we're discussing tonight. The link is in the chat and pinned to the top. If you want to join the stream, go ahead and do that. I'm not 100% sure who's going to join in with us tonight, but I can guarantee you tomorrow night's show is going to be an absolute monster, regardless of the result. So make sure to do that. We got a lot of people here, 18 people here. How's everybody doing tonight? Right off the bat, I'm doing good. We've got Lily White Lane in the house. Shouldn't you be in bed, mate? But anyway, thanks for watching. Lily, if you want to jump on, if you're in a place that you can do that at this time of night where you're at, you're more than welcome to do that. If not, that is great as well. We got Joseph Cahill in the house. Mr. K. Nobody knows. It's all up in the wind. That's true. We got Eunice, the celery agent from Australia. And the Wall Street Hotspur. People are still piling in. If you want to jump in the stream and have your chat with me, just click that link at the top of the chat. But before we do that, I've got a couple of things that I want to talk about tonight. You know, some of you guys in the Harris Army may know, just prayers, good hopes, and best wishes to our man over there at Spurs on TV. He got a little injured tonight, and we hope that he recovers quick and well, and that everything is all right. Everything is all right. Also, too, if you haven't subscribed yet to the show, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so that you can make sure to get notified every time we go live. Because I'm going to tell you what, right now, each and every stream is getting bigger and better. You know, the views, the number of subscribers that are joining the channel is absolutely amazing. I love the fact that you guys have enjoyed this particular time slot and that you guys are willing to come in and chat with me late into the evening to talk about our favorite club, Tottenham Hotspur. Looks like we've got Alex Burleton in the house tonight. Just getting off work. We'll listen from my car. Sounds good, Alex. We'll do. And later when you get home and you get settled in, we're going to be on for a couple hours. You're welcome to hop on again if you'd like. We got Alejandro Perez in the house again. Big up, Will, and the lads in the chat. Yeah, we got a bunch of people watching still. 22 folks on all different platforms. Will, you're the man. Keep up the good work with the channel. Big up. Hope he's well, Spurs Zone. I watched this stream and I didn't look good. Everyone, please send your prayers to Tommy, the Harris Army. 스트림은 join 하고 싶다면 거기 위에서는 링크가 있어가지고 거기 위에서는 링크가 핀 돼 있거든요. 그 스트림 join 하고 싶으면 그거 링크 하면서 그 다음에 그 유튜브 어카운트가 로그인해가지고 여기 뒤에는 와서 얘기까지 하면 됩니다. So for the folks that don't speak Korean, I was telling Kevin that if he said that he'd like to join the chat. If you'd like to join the chat, you can click the link at the top. I think you have to verify by logging into your YouTube account. Trust me, I don't get anything, get any of that in there. But that's how you do that. And at least I think Toronto is in the East Coast time zone. It may be Central. I'm not 100% sure. But either way, he's got 2 or 3 hours left for all of us to wish him a happy birthday. So we're going to ride out the last 3 hours of his birthday today. You know him, you love him. You know, the father of all the baby sharks out there, Cody Mack. What's going on, Cody?
Look, I honestly, I'm like the last person that would ever flex a birthday. I'm not a birthday person. I think birthdays are stupid. I think they're just the other day in the year, whatever. But I will say this has probably been like the best birthday I've ever had, because today I was on like a video call with my mom. She was trying to wish me happy birthday, whatever. And my 1-year-old took her first steps while I was on the call with my mom. And it was really cool because my mom actually hasn't had a chance to meet my 1-year-old, you know, just with everything that's been going on. They live like 3-4 hours away. They don't drive a lot. And then the COVID situation and everything. So yeah, it's just been amazing birthday. Amazing.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can relate to that because all 3 of my kids were born while I was living overseas in Korea. So a lot of my family and parents hadn't met them even when they were 5, 6, 7 years old. So that can be tough. But well, that's great that she's finally got up and walking. But now when I was a young dad, I made a video called Baby Rising, and it was off the iPhone. You know, like in iMovie, you have those kind of like setup movies, and they have the horror film one. And it was when my youngest son, when he finally got old enough to where he could stand up and start moving around on his own, because that's when they can really start to get into trouble, right? When they're kind of immobile and they're stuck to where they got to be, it's a lot easier to get up and go do something else. But once they start walking around and crawling around and climbing on stuff and knocking stuff down, it can be a challenge.
And Beatrice, who is the baby in question here, the 1-year-old, you could set her down in a sea of toys with just one single toy that would be like dangerous and pointy, and she would definitely like beeline for the dangerous toy. And so it's going to be I'm enjoying it now because I know that it's going to be like a shit show from here on in.
Yeah. And it's just crazy. But I mean, tell people, I mean, you have to verify your YouTube address when you jump on here, right?
Well, I don't actually have a YouTube like channel.
Well, I mean, like just your account, right? You just if you're logged into a YouTube account when you join the stream, you have to like push a button or something like that, and it verifies you before it pops you in the background, right?
Yep.
Yeah, but it's pretty simple. So if people, and the only reason why I do that is it kind of keeps the trolls out, or it keeps people from joining from multiple different accounts at once. But it's only a StreamYard thing. I have nothing to do with that, so don't feel threatened by that if you're one wanting to jump on. It's just a kind of like it just means you're a real person and not some kind of bot or something like that trying to jump on the stream.
I see Lily White Lane in the comments. Mate, get on here, man. Let's have a chat.
Yeah, he's probably just getting ready to go to bed or whatever. I mean, if I was his dad, I'd be screaming at him. Why aren't you?
Yeah,
it's got to be 3 a.m. there.
Yeah.
You'd be in trouble with me, Lily, if I was your dad. Robbie, you'd be in trouble. I don't. Is he what? He's 13, 14, 15? I don't even remember.
No idea.
If you're still watching Lily White Lane, well, I mean, yeah, you can say that. But my oldest is 13, so yeah, he. Speaking of which, I need to send him a text message and tell him he needs to go to bed. He may have ODP training tomorrow morning, so he needs to make sure he gets
6 hours of kickups.
Yeah, it's about a 3-hour training session. It's pretty hardcore, so I'm gonna do that here. But anyway, what are your thoughts on the Manchester United match? Tell us the things that you're expecting to happen tomorrow.
I have no idea what to expect. Let's be honest. I mean, as from the Spurs perspective, is there ever been like a 3 weeks in a row where we had no idea who was going to be in that starting 11 and how much that was going to shape what we were going to try to do tactically? It's just, you could see like the same starting 11 from the last 2 games, Newcastle and Aston Villa, or you could see a starting 11 that absolutely has no resemblance.
I have no idea what even formation we're going to play tomorrow. Well,
that's it, because the formation is dependent upon the personnel, not the personnel who are available, but the personnel who will get selected, So many players seem like they are now on the outside of Jose's orbit. Are we at a point in his tenure where the results are going to be sacrificed in order for him to... What is Jose trying to do? Is he trying to send a message to the board saying that these players are either not good enough or not committed enough to be a part of a successful team? Or are we going to see, okay, mistakes have been made, I'm going to try and make amends? Because some of the players that have been missing in the last 4 to 6 to even 12 weeks are some of our most talented players. The likes of Toby and Serge and Bergvine, and it's just impossible to try and predict what's going to happen tomorrow. I'll be waiting with bated breath to see that lineup getting released about an hour before game time. I know that much.
Yeah, no, for me, for sure. And for you guys that don't know, make sure you go out and check the Irish Hotspur's new pre-match show over on the We Are Tottenham TV channel. Not that they need a humble channel like myself to plug them out, but if you happen to not follow, We Are Tottenham TV or the Irish Hotspur, make sure you go ahead and check that show out. Or if you weren't aware that the show was going on, make sure you do that as well. We're going to bring in Mr. K. He's our friendly guy, staying up late with us over in the UK. Man, you really must be a night owl, Mr. K. How are you doing tonight?
Hi guys. I sleep around about once every day and a half, maybe 2 days. I've been doing that for like 30 years. It's just one of those
every other day, huh?
It's normal to me. It wasn't until I got married I found out it's not normal for everyone else.
Yeah, no, I have no problem sleeping during the day, but I have to definitely at least sleep 4 or 5 hours is what I'm at now. I got to get at least 4 or 5 hours. Like last night, I went to bed at like 7 o'clock in the morning and woke up around noonish. So, yeah,
I've got one of those funny medical conditions. Too much a certain type of chemical being produced by the brain.
Gotcha. So you just don't feel tired, huh? You just ready to go?
Yeah, I burn up a little bit more than normal. Basically, it regulates the thyroid gland, and basically it's overproducing thyroxine and stuff like that. Floods into my system. So my metabolism is like super high. Brain works at some stupid rate, and you can't sleep either.
That's not good. That's not good.
But it's really difficult trying to like mix your life into like other people that are doing 24 hours a day, especially work.
I sure, yeah. You need to move to Alaska.
I've been close. I went to Toronto.
Well, in Alaska, it's like there's like a month or two that it's light outside for 24 hours, so you'd be set.
I'm still hoping there's a cure. I mean, when I first got diagnosed, they told me there's no cure, and it's been quite a long time since then.
You have to get checked out again.
Well, I went through a whole bunch of experimental trials and stuff, and then after 2 years, they blocked it and said it's too dangerous for you. If we give you the treatment that we've currently got, you might go blind. It's some radioactive therapy sessions or something. I don't know.
Yeah, you don't want to mess around with that.
And on top of that, you're a Spurs fan.
Well, I thought to myself, it's the reason why I'm a Spurs fan. It's like you have to have this thing in your life.
Mate, you must have been Jack the Ripper in a previous life. Swear to God. It sounds awful.
But we've got Shashank from Nepal in the back room again. We're going to try to bring him on this time, see if he's got his audio.
Good luck, Shashank.
Yep, we can hear you fine now. Today.
That's great. That's great. I just bought a new audio just to talk with you guys because I couldn't put my opinion at all,
Yeah, no, and actually it sounds perfect now. So good on you. Whatever you bought, it solved your issue.
Is it working perfectly?
Yeah, sounds great.
Perfectly.
Yep.
Perfect.
That's great. That's great.
We're glad to have you now. I felt bad. You tried to get on the show so many times, but you couldn't do it because of the the snack crackle pops. It was loud, man. The first one was loud. The second night it wasn't too bad. You were just breaking up, and then it started to pop again.
No, in Nepal, it's some kind of a internet connection problem. You don't know what kind of internet. The connection. It's so hard to find. It's really trouble. Yeah.
Yeah, it's that way. I'm sure it's that way in Canada too, especially if you live in a rural area. Sometimes the internet. There are some set parts of the U.S. in rural areas where you can't get like cable or fiber optic service. You can only get satellite or dial-up service, and that's super duper slow.
Exactly, Bill.
But anyway, Shashank, since this is your first time on the show, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us your Spurs story. How what you do, how you became a Spurs supporter out there in Nepal, are there a lot of Spurs supporters in Nepal?
I don't think there's a lot of Spurs fan in Nepal. I think there's very limited. I think there's around. We are trying to build and trying to be more superior than other. We are trying to build a pace. I'm also in some kind of a group, that Tottenham Hotspur group, that Super Spurs, and that other one that Adam Roy.
Adam Roy.
Yes, exactly.
I don't know
I'm
Adam.
in his group for 6 to 7 months. I've been Spurs fan from 2016-17 campaign. To be honest.
We got Eva Men here. Shout out from Hong Kong. Nice to see you guys again. Keep up the good job. And come on, Spurs. Well, welcome all the way from Hong Kong. And we've got Korean. Kevin Chang out here. 안녕하세요.
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 But
혹시
thank you, Will.
조금 한네요? 아니면 그냥 한국말만?
Well, I'm actually Korean American here.
Well, there you go, Kevin. You had me all, always typing in Korean. I figured you may not speak.
Well, I just thought it was friendly, you know.
Well, no, that's
Welcome,
great.
Kevin.
I love it. Welcome, Kevin.
Yeah.
We're glad that you're here. Where at in the States? What area? West Coast, East Coast?
I reside in New Jersey.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good deal. Good deal. And how long you been a Spurs fan?
I started watching Spurs. There was a Korean player, Young Pil Lee. Remember him?
Yeah.
Yeah, way back.
That was like 2012, 2010.
Yeah. I think that was when Keystone Park played, right?
Yeah. For Man United.
Yeah. I'm kind of in that era. You know, a lot of Koreans watch that EPL.
Good deal. Well,
Yeah.
we're super glad to have you on the show tonight.
Oh,
And
yeah.
let's kind of get around and since this is the pre-match show, let's roll on before we get into individual questions. Let's go around the group and let's go with like what your preferred. So if you were the manager, who would your starting 11 be? And we'll start with Cody and we'll go around.
Yeah, this is a very difficult question, just given how many key players. Like if you look at just talent-wise, so many of our players have been left out for so long. But if we're going, there's so many questions and so few answers. But I'll just do my best. Reguilon, Toby, Roden, Aurier, Ndombele, Højbjerg, Son, Lucas, Bergwijn, and Kane. That would be my starting 11, along with Lloris and Ned, of course. But within that 11 that I've listed, even though that's what I feel is our strongest right now, there are several players who haven't even set foot on a pitch lately, it feels like. So it's really hard to try and predict.
Kevin, you got a little bit of feedback going on. If you wouldn't mind, it sounds like you got like an echo, like it's either coming through your phone or you can hear the back stream if you're watching it from a different place. If you want to just mute your mic, it won't do it when you talk. So if you just mute it when you're not.
Is that okay now?
That's better.
That's good.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm actually connecting with my phone, so.
No, it's okay. Yeah, but I mean, I think that's a decent starting 11. And go ahead and finish your statement, Cody.
No, that's it. Within that starting 11, there's probably 4 positions that are highly questionable given how much time that they've been given in the Premier League in the last 6 weeks. So, Aurier, he's only started 3 games since the start of February, but he went on international duty and had an excellent run with Ivory Coast. So, yeah, it's just there's so many more questions than there are answers with all the politics that are going on and whether or not Jose is maintaining control of the dressing room or if the players are exercising their muscle. It's just, yeah. I mean, honestly, I have absolutely no idea. That's a complete guess. That's exactly what I would do based on the best versions of each player that we've seen this year. But are we going to get the best versions if we put those players in? I don't know.
Mr. K, what about yourself?
I'll pretty much go with what Cody said. The only difference I think really is the number 10 role. Son's going to be on the left. I don't know who's going to be on the right wing. No one's really nailed that position down. I mean, I tell you the truth, very early on in the season, I saw Bergwijn on the right wing. And he did a half-decent job of tracking ball forward and backwards when he was on the right wing very early on in the season.
Exactly, Mr. K.
But since then, he's dropped form. He's dropped attitude. He doesn't look happy when he's on the pitch. He doesn't seem to connect too well with his fellow players.
Absolutely low
He
in
doesn't look
confidence.
at anyone. He makes no eye contact when he comes off. You know, when you come off, there's like little rituals people do, right? You know, they slap someone and give a high five or whatever. He's kind of like making eye contact with nobody when he comes off. And it seems to me that he's going out there trying to perform as a solo act to prove that he can do something in terms of the eyes of the coach. But something's happened to him. He's lost his mojo. When he started, I thought, wow, we've got ourselves, in about a year and a half, we've got ourselves the next wonder kid. You know, he's going to be taking over, like, you know, Son's position in terms of tenacity of work, getting the ball in the back of the net. You know, it's very, you can have all the tricks in the world, but you need that ball in the back of the net if you're an advanced midfielder. And he did that straight away, right from the first game. And we thought to ourselves, you know what, that was a pressure game. And he got it through next man's legs as well and slotted it into the corner. And I thought, you know what, technique's good, his composure's good, he's got an eye for the goal. But since then, nothing. I don't blame the player itself.
This is one of those instances where when we talk about the players that we've missed out on, right? The Jack Grealishes of the world, the Bruno Fernandes, the Ruben Diaz. I wonder that if when Steven Bergwijn arrived at Tottenham Hotspur, he had the right mentality. And the culture of our club has gone and ruined him. You know, like, would Jack Grealish be Jack Grealish of today if we had a bottom back when we had the chance? It's a very interesting question, and you know, it's only something that we can speculate on. But yeah, I mean,
you remember last time when I came on the stream, I asked you guys, like, from your perspective, what Spurs he was, and the reason why I was saying that was because we've changed managers, we've changed players, we've changed coaching staff. You know, so. What is there? Some sort of baton that every time a player comes in, he grabs hold of this baton, and then when the other player leaves, the other one's still holding it, and he passes it on to the new guy. So my personal belief is that Levy, right, gets too personally involved in all the transfers, and he likes to smile and worm his way into, you know, I'm like the cool kid. You know, when the nerdy kid with the money is like trying to be cool, he smiles a lot and shit like that. Right, he reminds me of one of those guys, and I've done business with them, so I know you can't trust them. They're like a tiger, man. You turn your back, they're gonna bite you. But so what I think is this: he can't handle any players coming into the club that have got strong personalities that are going to dominate him. Right. So if you imagine Ramos coming into Spurs, he's going to have Levy for breakfast. Right. The other thing is that strong personality is going to call out infrastructure, players, recruitment, policies, all that type of thing. And I think for the dressing room, it's like not a very good thing for Levy to like try to have that type of person in there. The problem is Jose comes in and he wants those type of players. If you look at some of his old videos of some of these old players from Porto, they say when he came, you know, he would come in and provoke them. He'd say, "I'm sacking you tomorrow." He never did, but he would provoke the players into getting a reaction. And I think he's come into Spurs, right? Yeah, and he's tried to do that initially. And he's found that these people, the players we've got, they're a bit cowardly where they won't stand up to him. They'll go round the corner and whisper into someone else's ear, "Oh, I don't like how I'm being treated. Oh, the training's really shit. Jose's really over the hill. I'm being paid like, you know, 90 grand a week. I can't be wrong."
Football has changed quite a bit in 20 years. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Back when Jose was first breaking in, you know, you had the likes of Sir Alex Ferguson who ruled with an iron fist, and if you didn't give Sir Alex what he wanted, you were fucking out, you know? Yeah. And Jose is cut from that same cloth, and I made that point on a different show recently, but yeah, I totally agree. You know, it's very difficult to try and compare different eras of football management, But yeah, I mean, I think we can all agree Levy has a small dick. That's the real point, right?
And
Look, I like to give the
you've
guy
been
a
on more
break
shows
because,
than me lately, Cody.
you know, I think it's a hard job being a chairman. It must
Cody is
be.
everywhere.
Kevin, what's your starting lineup, my man?
I should say. Wait. So the right is the issue, right? The right. Wait. Who used to play in the right again?
On
Mora,
the right,
Lamella,
Lucas Moura, Labella, Gareth Bale.
Bale, Berggrund sometimes.
I would personally go for Bale. I would still trust him in. If we're gonna keep till the next season, I guess we should give more time to Bale.
Use them wise here. What about you, Sasan?
I'm going for Hugo Lloris as a goalkeeper. Right back, I'm going for Serge Aurier.
All right, that's good.
And centre back, and on a centre back, I'm going for Toby Alderweireld and Joy Roden and Sergi Regulum on a left back.
Okay.
Hoiberg and Tagian Dombele, and in the middle, I'm going for Gio Lo Celso. At the right wing, I'm going Lucas Moura. At the left, Son, and in front, I'm going for the Kane. To be honest, I
Sounds
think this
good.
would be the perfect lineup.
And Kevin, what about the rest of your team?
Yeah, but I mean, comment on that. Right, Mora. I wouldn't trust him in the right. That's why I went for Bale, and you know how things go with Lamella.
To be honest, Bale walk rate is zero, Kevin. Zero walk rate. He have to work hard for the team. To be honest, really.
I don't know.
It's Premier
I
League.
don't know. I'm going to defend Kevin a
I
little
mean,
bit because I don't know
there's
if that's
one
true.
thing.
You should see the game
Where-
against Arsenal, man. His game was absolute.
That was one match.
But it was the one match that you shouldn't have to be told to show up for, right? To me,
Sorry
I
about
think
that, Cody,
Gar-
but I think he has
Go ahead.
lost Mozo. He don't have that kind of feeling that he used to have before. I don't have any confidence in him. Really, Cody, really.
Gareth Bale.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I'm on board. I'm on board. I think Gareth Bale has been a waste of money. I mean, it's hard.
Exactly.
It's really hard to say that as a Spurs fan. And
It's
as
What
easy,
kind
man.
of
We were watching
business
him play.
Levy is doing? I'm just so. I
it's
don't know what to say.
it looks like he was brought in to sell shirts at this point. And
Exactly, Cody.
yeah, it's really tough. It's really tough because we all know that on his day, Gareth Bale can change the outcome of a game, right?
Exactly.
But
Yes.
he hasn't been a starter at any major level in 5 or 6 years, if you go back to his days at Real Madrid. So, yeah, it's just I can't see Gareth Bale being extended as far as his loan is concerned, and I can't really
Exactly.
see him being anything more than a very expensive bench weapon going through to the rest of the year. That's my opinion.
Still, he doesn't seem happy to be in Spurs too. I think he's just using Spurs or something like that. I don't know. But when he's playing for Wales, he's a different person. You can be the judge.
Yeah, but do you guys think Bale is still world class?
Yes,
No.
he's a world-class player. He's a
No, I
world-class player.
don't.
Still, he's a
I don't.
world-class player. I think so.
I don't, because you have to judge him on his current form, right?
To play in
And
Prem, I
if we're
think- I
being
don't think-
serious, he's had every opportunity, and I know that there have been injury setbacks. We can take all of that into context. But Gareth Bale has only really provided solid impact into less than a handful of games for Spurs.
And some kind of a mentality as well.
If you had have told us at the start of his loan that this is how it would have played out, everyone to a man in this panel would have thought that Gareth Bale's loan would have been a failure. You know, he's living off of the legend of Gareth Bale. That is my opinion. If we were paying $240,000 a week for a player that was doing what Gareth Bale's doing, and we didn't know anything about him, we would think he was a complete waste of money. Complete waste of money.
Can I play a little bit of devil's advocate here? Burnley's not
Nothing to say.
Burnley is not a slouch team, right? I mean, they may not win a lot of games, but they sure do draw a ton of them, right? I mean, their defense.
Do you
is,
expect to beat Burnley?
well, of course, any team that's in the top half of the table should expect to beat Burnley.
Okay,
Right, but any team, but not many teams in the top half of the table have beat Burnley, though.
do you expect to beat Arsenal?
Yeah, I expect to beat everybody.
Burnley is a giant killer, to be honest.
But I mean, Burnley is one of those games where it's like you go there and if you win, you're winning like 1-0. It's not one that you go there and plan to win 5-1.
Yeah, but the
Exactly,
game
exactly.
that Gareth Bale excelled was the game at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. We weren't going to Turf Moor, and we eked out a 1-0 win. And then Gareth Bale had nothing to say about it. He didn't even
Just
show
didn't
up.
play.
Edged it.
Right.
I don't even think he was on the pitch that match. That's what I'm saying.
I think, Cody, what you said about Bale is like, it wasn't just Bale. When we started off this season, we looked at our overall squad and we said, wow, we've actually got depth for the first time. We're going to actually have a bench that's going to mean something.
I'm guilty of
And
that.
we could actually go out there and like attack all the competitions because we've got a depth of squad.
Exactly.
We didn't expect Doherty to
something
turn into a
beautiful.
donkey. We didn't expect Winks to carry on being Winks. We didn't expect Bale to not be there. We didn't expect Bergwijn to like slow down. And we expected a little bit more from Lo Celso when he came back, but he's probably not sharp enough. He needs like a good 10 games or something. He's been out for so long. And we don't have those 10 games. So the way I look at it is we can't play him in the really big crunch games. Like tomorrow, I would love to see Lo Celso there at the beginning, but I don't think he's ready. I don't think he's sharp enough in his brain, connected with the players. So,
For like me, I'll give you guys my 11, and I've said it a couple times today, and I'm sure Cody said it more
go on,
times. Cody said more. How many shows you been on today, dude?
all
Do
of
you
them?
like a kitchen? You get a kitchen pass today. Said your wife said you can be on since it's your birthday. You can go on as many streams as you want. Because like every time I turned on YouTube today, I was like, "There's Cody Mack."
I've been commenting, but I've only been on one show. I saved my live appearances for the most important channels.
Oh,
They're the ones that are
thank
dear to my heart. So
Tottenham away.
Yeah, I saw you on
Right,
Tottenham Way today.
yeah, Tottenham away.
Cody,
That was the show that I woke up to because it started
Happy
right
birthday,
around the time when I woke up today at 12. So
Brian,
as I was saying at the beginning of the season, we had this expectation. We had a squad, and in our minds, on paper, it looked like a formidable squad. We actually had we thought we had a squad that could go for the title. We weren't saying it much, but come Christmas, we started talking about it. But the reality of Spurs, it hasn't come across that way. It's been completely the opposite. We don't have a bench that's strong enough. We don't have another first 11 that's strong enough. We've been shamefully kicked out of some competitions, especially like Europa. Oh my days, how do we get kicked out of Europa by a bunch of farmers? I just don't
only
know.
God knows.
I don't know which one's worse, the West Ham game or that one.
Zagreb. Zagreb is
Dynamo
worse.
Zagreb was the worst.
Yeah, Zagreb hurt a lot.
You can take the West Ham game and you can flush it down the toilet and just acknowledge it as an anomaly. But when you lose,
Cody, I watch. My friends are West Ham fans, and every time West Ham play Tottenham, trust me, I remember every game. And the situation of the last 5 years is that we hit and miss with West Ham. And for me, when I look at a season, I say that teams like West Ham, if we could be pushing them over easily or reasonably, then our squad is strong that season. When we don't do things like that, when we let in 3 goals, I don't care about bloody Zagreb. I care about what's happening with our local competition in terms of like when we play against West Ham or Arsenal. Well, we've got to turn up. We've got to turn around and say, okay, we don't have the millions that Chelsea's got, but we definitely got a squad pedigree for the last 5 years that could slap Arsenal around. That should be able to walk over West Ham in terms of quality alone. But we don't.
It's okay. It's okay not to care about Zagreb if we're beating them, right? But if we're losing against a squad like Zagreb in a competition, which going into that second leg, we were favored to win the competition, not just to win the game against Zagreb, not just to win the second leg. We were favored to win the whole goddamn thing. by the bookies.
3-1 was the odds.
Just
I
blows
don't know.
my
It was like really weird. An hour and a half. Sorry, half an hour, half an hour, half an hour. They scored every half an hour. They scored a goal every half an hour against us. For every 30 minutes of play, they scored, we didn't. And that happened 3 times. It was like we were watching a slow motion, like someone falling down in slow motion, step by step by step. And it was like, I think everyone knew by the second goal going in that we were in trouble. And I think some people knew when the first ball went in. We were in trouble. But it's this. So what I'm saying is that we're not going to win any tournaments. We're not going to win any cups if we can't hold our own against some of the more basic competitions that we should be used to, like playing Arsenal, playing West Ham. We need to turn up for those games. Like, if the players don't realize that these 2 games and the whole year are like really important to us as fans, as a club, and that you need to turn up for them, in the first 5 minutes, you need to be putting your foot in there. If they don't realize that, then I don't know. It's like we can't turn around and say Jose doesn't tell them. Is Jose the type of manager that officially says something so he covered his back? Oh, I
Mr.
told
K,
them.
do you think that this season can be rescued?
By miracle, yeah.
Of course.
So
of
you're
course,
saying yes, but not likely?
I'm saying that we shouldn't be in the situation where we need a miracle in order to save a
Well,
season.
of course not. We should be in the situation that Manchester United are in. We should still be in Europa, and we should be second in the table if we didn't piss
I'm
away
not
all
saying
the points
I
that
don't
we
want
had.
our club to be given any type of like accolade that we don't deserve. But when you look at the other teams which are in the top 4, like seriously, I don't respect any of them except for Man City. I don't think Man United has done anything really special to be second. I don't think Chelsea's done anything really special to be there. I don't think Leicester's done anything really special to be there. So I think as far as all of those teams, including Everton,
Probably
Aston
respect
Villa,
Liverpool more.
well, Liverpool, I think they're having a funny season. Anything could happen with them. You know, it's like 2 players you take away from them, the same 2 players that they brought in,
They wanted us to go.
and their team doesn't seem to
winner.
be the same.
Yeah, but
So-
Liverpool right now, it's like they're going out and they're beating a top 6 side, and then they're going out and losing to bottom 4 side,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
They're losing
it's just
silly games.
yeah.
Like Leicester, I
Yes,
think
they
did they
were
lose
about
against
to
Leicester or did
lose
they
to
draw?
Leicester as well.
I think they. I'd have to
No,
look
not
up
Leicester.
the
Sorry,
results.
Leeds.
They
Did they
Leeds
lose
defeated
or
Man
did they-
City. Oh my God. With
So
10 men.
my point being is that when I look at our squad, I see it as a squad that should be in the top 4. They just done the most shameful thing there is, which is basically not hold their nerve on a pitch. You can get beaten on the pitch, I don't care. Lose by 3 goals, it doesn't matter. But if you lose your nerve when you're on the pitch, then I don't know how you're going to recover from that. I really don't know. Because this is something that's been in the players, even under Poch's time, and even before Poch's time. I remember way back when Redknapp was in charge. Every now and again, we bottle a game. Right? I don't know. I think the players, the personalities, the attributes that they've got. I tried to make this point before, which is like if you're spending £50 million, £60 million, or £30 million on a player, you got to have people you employ that can research this player properly, and say you're going to be playing in a physical league. You're going to go up against Burnley players. They're going to stick a thumb up your ass. You know, they'll trip you up. Okay, what happened? Diego. Who's that new player that's come on for Thiago for Liverpool? Right, he comes on against Tottenham, and the very first thing he does is puts his studs through Dombole's feet. He literally puts his studs right into his feet to make sure that's the first action I do. And did any Spurs player stand up and say, you know what, I'm going to go over there and kick him in the shins? Nobody stood up for him. Dombele was standing there going, what the hell, man? Referee, did you not see that? Players, my fellow players, did you not see that? And that's it. He's just left there hanging. And I'm thinking that's the very first thing you do. So we don't have a Keane in our team that's going to go up to the opposition and kick him in the shins and say, don't hit one of my players.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happens.
It's
We
just
get
a weird.
intimidated.
It's just a weird season, and I'll just run through. You know, talking about Liverpool right now. So just from December, right? They starting first game in December, they beat Wolves 4-0. Then they drew with Fulham 1-1. They beat us 2-1, and then they beat Crystal Palace 7-0. Where did Kevin go? And then they drew with West Brom 1-1. Drew with Newcastle 0-0. Lost to Southampton 1-0. Then they draw with Manchester United. Then they lose 1-0 to Burnley. Then they beat us 3-1. Then they beat West Ham 3-1.
God,
Then
they
lose
beat
to
us every
Brighton.
time.
Then they lose to Brighton 1-0. Then they lose to City 4-1. Then they lose to Leicester 3-1. Then they lose to Everton 2-0. Then they beat Sheffield United. They lose to Chelsea 1-0. They lose to Fulham 1-0. They beat Wolves again 1-0. Then they beat Arsenal 3-0, and then Aston Villa 2-1. So I mean, they've had a worse season than us by far.
Agreed. But the thing is, when you look at their players, it's like when they're on the pitch, you don't see the same type of like. Okay, you know when the ball gets passed back to the defenders. Okay, so Sanchez gets the ball. And one thing I realize is that if he passes the ball in the wrong direction, 3 passes later, we're going to lose the ball. All right, 3 passes later, some midfield player's got the ball, he's going to lose it because he's been put in a compromised position. He's put in a cul-de-sac, he can't get nowhere. And under pressure, we're going to end up losing the ball. And it's that thinking of the passing from the back. You know, you can't be as a coach standing there looking at this with your eyes and thinking, okay, I just train Sanchez a little bit more. And he'll get better passing the ball. He'll get more comfortable having the ball. I'm sorry, but what have you been doing since last year? Are you telling me it's going to take you a year to put something into Sanchez's head, that how to be more composed on the ball, how to pass the ball left and right, not to hesitate, don't lose momentum? Because that's what happens. When the ball goes back, sometimes they lose momentum and they hesitate. And that one slight bit of hesitation, it lets the opposition regroup itself. And they stand there with the ball not moving. The ball should never stop when it goes in defense. It should always be moving around. It's not your job to think about where to pass the ball. You understand? Like, you shouldn't be thinking about a long pass unless your name's Toby Alderweireld. Now, Toby, 3 years ago...
Exactly, you want to be like a Toby
Jan,
Alderweireld.
Yeah, when he used to play alongside Jan, right, yeah? He used to do these massive long diagonal passes and, you know, right to the front right wing, right to the top left wing. He used to do beautiful passes, long passes from defense. Now, he had a rock-solid companion with him.
Right in the money.
Right? And I think that's what it is. Toby's missing. See, what it is, Toby's now become Jan, but he's not Jan.
Yeah.
He can't do to other players what Jan did for him. So when you partner him up with people like Dyer, if you partner him up even with maybe to a certain degree Sanchez, you're not going to see the type of duo partnership that we used to get with Jan and Toby. You know, when Toby was learning the ropes here in the UK. Yeah. So my point is, Toby's a very good player, but he's not a Jan. He's not rock solid figure in the defense that the other players will have to respect in terms of they listen to him, they jump when he says something.
Yeah, we've got like a CB2 leading our center back pairing. We don't have that. We're missing that top tier center back. And the thing is,
the proper partnership.
No man smell.
I'm worried that we're gonna get rid of Toby. And I think that we probably should before Toby is completely worthless to us, because he's got 2 years left on his contract now. This is probably the last time that we can get a big fee for Toby. But I think that we should be replacing Toby with 2 top center backs and having the rest of the meat that we have at the back end as the options, you know? Toby's yeah,
I think it's too late. I think 2 years ago, if we sold Toby 2 years ago, we would have got heck of a lot of money for him. Okay?
A lot of money.
Toby was in demand back then. Man United wanted him.
We'll get more money now for Toby than we will 2 years from now.
Yeah, but I mean, then it wasn't.
We won't get no money.
Well, 2 years from now, we'll be on a free
season.
Yeah. To be honest.
Wasn't the summer after the Champions League final that clubs could have come in and picked him up for $25 million and not a single one came in for him?
Yeah, think about that. Hello?
Yeah, I mean, that's nuts. Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, sorry.
But what do you guys think about this question down here?
I'm looking at some of the players and I'm thinking that we've dramatically lost value for them if we want to ship them out.
Yeah, a ton.
And I think that they were playing really, really well. And at that time when they're playing really well, we could either have sold them, but then we thought, all right, they're going to carry on playing really well, so let's give them another contract. Let's give them 150 grand a week. Because that's what
Exactly.
Toby's on right now, plus whatever incentives. And I think to myself, once he signed that 150 grand a week, his performance was not quite as high as I thought he was going to step into. I thought he was going to become the new Yan. I thought literally he's going to step forward now, but that never happened.
Yeah, what do you guys think about this question here? All this squad needs is 2 center backs, a right back, and a right wing back, and we could easily be in second place at least. I think second might be a far stretch, but I agree. If we had 2 quality center backs, a right back, I don't even think the right back is that necessary. With the squad that we have now, if you were to say in this season, not next season, if Aurier is going to leave the club, but I think if we had signed Diaz, and if we had signed,
Milenkovic.
or if we had signed Skriniar, like we were looking to do, but didn't want to fork out an extra couple of, million, and signed a quality right winger, I think we'd be in the top 4 right now for sure, and we'd still be in the Europa League, and probably still be in the FA Cup.
Yeah. You know what? The thing is, this is why we're at this massive fork in the road as Spurs fans, because we're in this position where we're very, very close to glory, but we're also very, very close to disaster.
Yeah.
What Wall Street Hotspur is suggesting that we need, that's way beyond what we actually need. The thing is, in terms of second place, all we really need to do is just hang on to the leads that we already had this year, right? We've pissed away so many points at the end of games. If we could just rectify that, let's look at the first 6 words of this sentence. All this squad needs is 2 center backs. If we got 2 top center backs, we would be second in this league easily. Would we be able to contend for first? Probably not. But if you add in the right back and the right wing, maybe we would be talking about that. But yeah, no, we are not that far away from actually being excellent as a team.
What I understand is if a bunch of old, half drunken dudes with dad bods can figure this out, what's Levy's problem?
He wants everything cheap, to be honest. I think he wants everything to be cheap.
It's a hard one. Look. Up until about this season, it was extremely.
It's not that hard, though.
No, what I'm saying is, it was extremely hard to go around Spurs channels and actually try to engage in this conversation. Right? I tried some time ago trying to get involved in Spurs channels on YouTube, and I got crowded out in the chat channels. So many people would come out and say, what are you talking about, blah 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 blah, and chuck all kinds of facts and figures, at me about the board and Levy and all the rest of it, and all the malarkey. So I kept away from fans. I watched the game. I look at tactics, things like that. I'd watch the game that way. It's only this season that I happened to come across Matt's channel, then the Hotspur, and I started to find people that were not just ranting, but actually presenting me with facts and figures and information that I didn't know, which made my instincts, it kind of fleshed out what I was thinking. I didn't know a lot of the details. They filled it in. And now I realize it's not just me that sees this. Everyone outside the center of London sees this. There's a hardcore fan base in central London that is going to sing Levy's praises all the time. You got the 2 boys running the biggest YouTube channel for Spurs, and one of them wants to say Levy's a thingy, but the other one looks at him and says, "Listen, mate, you know which side our bread is buttered, right?" So I used to get really peed off watching that channel, right? And then if I went into any of the other ones, or if I went into Facebook, I'd get even more worse treatment. So for me, I think that this year, everyone talking about the board is a good thing. You know, I mean, we're not talking about it in a silly way, like Wenger out or something. We're talking about it in a reasonable way. And I think that's one thing very, very good about our fan base is the way that these channels are all starting to intermix with each other, because we can't intellectually speak to one another and say, I want you to ignore what you see. I want you to ignore the 2 years that we didn't spend a penny on our players. Oh, let's not talk about that. Oh, well, there is a reason why we can't afford players today because it's COVID. Yeah, but you're making excuses for something that tripped us up 3 years ago. And we're feeling the effects of it today. You know, some of those players that we got in the squad, they came in from the Bale money. When Bale was walking out the door, Levy was buying those players before Bale had even signed the contract with Real Madrid. You remember he spent like 105 million before Bale signed on the dotted line. You know, we brought in players like Lamela and so forth that time. So those players should have been shipped out maybe like a year and a half, 2 years ago, when we're supposed to have bought some players. But we didn't ship anyone and we didn't buy anyone. And, you know, Levy was still trying to make out that he was going on holiday with Poch and saying, oh, I really like Poch and I really like his family. We've gone on holiday together. If that's the case, then why is for 2 years you didn't invest a single penny into any of his squad? Why is it when he turned around to you and gave you the Champions League final and said to you, listen, we've got a really beautiful house, we've got no furniture, and the first thing you do in that summer is what? You buy Dombele, which is going to need like a season to get worn in. He's coming from a totally different league.
It's
and then
really
what else are
hard
you
to
giving him?
adjust.
Pochettino's what? A defender by as a player. He's a defender.
Yeah.
Right? When he came into Spurs, the first thing Kane said was, Poch is making us train really, really hard. Like we're exhausted. And what was the consequence of him making them train that hard? Come the 89th minute of any match, it's Spurs that's going to win a goal. It's Spurs that's going to nick a goal. You remember that season in 16-17, we were the ones scoring the goal in the last 2 minutes, not somebody else.
Yeah.
And
It
now
would have been every
that
time.
strong personality holding the squad together is gone. And so now we've got players reverting back to their initial Tottenham nature. So the only reason why you have this nature in an organization is because the management at the top allow this type of thing. You know, your ship is only as uncivilized as the captain, if the captain allows it. Right? So the way I look at it, there's a culture in Spurs, there's a fan base around Spurs. So Levy knows that if he gives the core base a lovely stadium that they can brag about to everyone else, they'll be happy. They'll sing every single year and turn up every year and buy all the merchandising. But the rest of us, we're sick and tired of this narrative. We want to see the glory. We've seen our team come so close sometimes. So close. But in our hearts, we know that it's just not strong enough. And every year we say we need 2 players. Every single season we say we need 2-3 players.
Well, it's
Go
because
back
we
to
don't
5
buy
years.
the right 2 players. We buy a 6-pack full of junk and expect it to perform like 2 quality players, and that's what really irks me the most.
So why
if you
do
look
we
at how
have these
Liverpool,
discussions then?
well, because Daniel
Why is it
Levy
every year we'll go through them?
because Daniel Levy thinks that the transfer window is Tinder, and he likes to swipe left and swipe right on people that he thinks look attractive, and it's just a
but
luck of the draw.
Here's the crazy thing. We as fans, right,
Doesn't go with the quality.
we have an awful lot of power, with a lot of influence, but the thing is, our voice needs to be heard. What I've been saying to you earlier is that what I've realized is over the few years that I've been trying to get this message out, is that there's been a lot of opposition for me to get my voice out about it, right? And I
I've
think
never been pro Levy that I can remember.
you know, I don't know. It was really strange because I could see things so obviously, and when I started mentioning them, people would just quote facts at me, and you know, oh, he's done this and he's done that. You don't know he loves Spurs inside out, and I'm thinking to myself, like, wow, really? Am I wrong?
I think Brian Daigle would agree with you. I think he's been on the bandwagon for a while. I think what it is that, especially with this lockdown, the fact that fans have had to kind of, because they can't meet together in the stadiums, they're now meeting together in places like this. And I think that we've, especially in the Harris Army side of things, and I'm not saying that there aren't other channels or that those other channels aren't bigger than David Harris, but I think that he's the glue that kind of holds the Watt TV, the Matty Hayes, the different things together. I think that that with a lot of that, because there's a lot of folks out here on these fan channels now, that we're able to ourselves discuss the issues that's going on, right, and kind of work them out. Because I know that for me, that I had my opinions before a lot of this YouTube culture kind of came about, and that some of those positions have been strengthened and some of them have kind of been rethought. And I think that we've kind of, through logical and reasonable debate, and discussion, have all kind of formulated this consensus that is now, anywhere from to probably about 5,000 to 6,000 people strong, right? And so I think it's a lot easier. I mean, before We Are Tottenham TV started doing these, fan shows because they couldn't go to the games themselves. And honestly, I'm curious as to what's going to happen once the stadium opens back up and those guys go back out into the stadium. Who's going to take over the reins for the watch alongs? Is it going to be me and David that have to do it? Me and David and Matt? I mean,
Harris Army.
yeah, I mean,
But listen, coming back to players, right? Yeah, and defenses and so forth. I mean, there was a player I saw in a team called Malmo. His name is Anel Ahmed Zodek, right? And this guy is probably available for around about, I think, quite cheap because he's like not that well known. But he's an absolute monster beast of a defender, and he's really going to become something really fantastically good. See, these are the type of defenders that Tottenham should be buying. We've got a pedigree of, like, when we used to go to Ajax and buy their defenders and things like that. We've bought a lot of teams from that part of the world. About 5 years ago, there's a whole range of players coming from there, and we're picking them up. It's like, I think our recruitment policy has, like, I don't know what's going on with it. I think Hitchin ain't strong enough as a character. He's got a good eye though. I just don't think he's very connected or reputation. Sometimes when you walk into a place and you're going to talk to some people, if you know them or if they've got some reputation, if they know about your reputation, then they're going to treat you in a different way. And I think what happens is when Tottenham now walks into anywhere, because all the teams around the world know about Tottenham, like from the Amazon thing, it's more of a case of like, they're going to put the price up on everything.
Yeah,
they expect Levy to haggle. They expect Levy to haggle, so they're going to put the price up by 10 million and then haggle it down 15.
Yeah. We've got another first-time guest here in the back room here. We've got Abdul Karim joining us, and welcome to the show, my man.
Thank you for having me. It's nice seeing you. Yeah, what's up, guys? And I recognize you guys from the
welcome, man.
Welcome. Thank you for bringing me on. I'm just I seen you guys on the Irish Yid, and I seen you guys obviously on the We Are Tottenham TV, and I'm liking the fact that there's so many new Tottenham channels and so many new Tottenham supporters that have kind of grown, and from the We Are Tottenham TV branch. It's just like, I remember watching David Harris from the We Are Tottenham TV, and next he came out with a channel, and Marcelo came from the We Are Tottenham TV, and it's nice seeing that just how big this fan base is growing. It seems like every week we're getting a new Tottenham channel and more people to kind of jump on these debates and more voices for this team. So yeah, man.
Are you trying to introduce your new channel?
Thank you.
Who knows, man? Who knows, man?
Let's go, Abdul. Get that channel out there.
Go, Abdul, man. I want to subscribe. I want to like.
Who knows, man? One day.
Yeah, I know. I think too, and this is the thing too, that I think that a lot of the channels, because I don't know about, like Cody said, he's only kind of been jumping on for what, 2-3 weeks to Cody, maybe a month now.
A month.
Yeah, and like he's everywhere now. He's everywhere. He's on as many
Cody,
channels
that's
as I
24
am.
hours a day for you.
Yeah. And
Corey Mac did do.
No, Cody's got a secret. He's got a twin brother. It's not just him that appears. Because we all do, they all look the same.
Cody's everywhere.
I still
he's been getting away with it.
Massive thank you to Massive thank you to Will for giving this opportunity to talk with you all, guys. Thank you so much, Will, and thank you
Oh,
everyone.
hey, no, you're welcome, man. It's
Yeah,
that's what I wanted the
likewise.
channel to be, was an open forum. So, but yeah, I still think, Cody, we have to do like a special show at least one time a week and call it the bald bearded Tottenham boys, and it be
Yeah, there's
Well,
a
who do you
reason why
think?
you don't see a camera on
Who do
me.
you think you're gonna have on there? First of all,
so it'd be me and you
Soon come, soon come, soon come.
Honestly-
Brian's bald and not a beard.
and Brian. But he's got to make sure he shaves
I'm
his head 'cause
bald
he's
and
really
I've got
not
a
bald.
beard.
there's so many Tottenham fans that fit the bill that we're starting to look like a roaming gang of supervillains. So you're gonna have to be more specific. You know what I mean?
And Bob Spur TV. So maybe we can do it around. I don't know, what's a good time for you? 2 p.m. our time.
I have no good times. No good times.
You're
I
on
just,
all the time.
I just sneak on when I
Cody's
can.
lonely.
I know.
Cody's lonely.
No, but we got to do like a specific, it can be a short show too. I don't know, like an hour at like 2 p.m. Eastern time in the U.S. That way we can get Bobby on, Brian, me, and you, and if we can find some other bald and bearded Tottenham boys, we can bring them in too. And the requirement to be on the show is you have to be bald and you have to have a beard.
Done.
And then it just be kind of
Immensely
like
qualified.
a smash fest, right? Like it's just a complete banter show, and just goofing off. I think it'd be fun.
And you got to be Canadian,
Guys,
right?
guys,
No,
You
you don't
gotta
have to be
have that.
Canadian. You just gotta be bald, bearded, and a Tottenham boy.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. Okay.
Those are the only three requirements.
Okay.
guys, Will Kane be
Hey,
leaving
if
this
you're not
summer?
bald, you can wear a cap on your head.
Huh?
I say, if you're not
Will Kane
bald,
be
you can
leaving
wear a
this
cap
summer?
on your head.
I strongly feel he's gonna leave this time.
Kane, you think? You're
Yeah,
trying to
well, we
rein
hear
rein
this
us back
every-
into the.
Harry Kane too.
Oh, and by the way, Dan, thanks for joining the show again. So I brought you in without giving you a proper introduction. I apologize.
Welcome, Dan.
Yeah,
Welcome.
thanks for having me on again.
No, man, you're always welcome.
Yeah, no, I wanted to chat about Harry Kane a little bit too. I think I threw a
He's
super
gonna leave.
into David's stream earlier. I think you might have hopped off by that point, but I've been thinking about this a little bit after the comments came out today. Do you think it's possible to lose Harry Kane and spend 150, $200 million and still come out a competitive team next summer? Obviously, we don't trust Levy to do that, but if you're managing Tottenham, do you think that's a possible scenario? Do you think we could be a competitive or even better football club without Harry Kane, but with 200 million? No one?
No, I don't.
I think
You know what
that
it is?
we could be. I think that we could be better. In that,
You know what it is, Dan?
and here's why I say that: because
Go on.
Harry Kane is not leaving Tottenham Hotspur at a discount.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel Levy is going to get every last
That's for sure.
fucking penny
That's
that he can out of Harry Kane. If Harry Kane wants to force his way out, so be it. But personally, I don't see it happening. But if Harry Kane is going to leave Tottenham for the price that Daniel Levy wants, we could literally just take the money that we get from him and flip it onto a player like Erling Haaland, and we would be ahead of the. We would be ahead. Honestly, I don't want Harry Kane to leave. I think
No one does. Yeah.
keep him as long as we can, and that he should set the records, and he should do it in a Spurs shirt, and we should treat it like as if Tottenham won a trophy, because we all know that we're probably not going to win an actual trophy, so we should just treat Harry Kane records as a trophy. But yeah,
The way I
very
see it is
difficult
Kane,
question.
Kane wants to break those records.
Trophy's not gonna
Kane
come.
wants to break Shearer's record.
I think he's going to stay. I personally think he's going to stay, but obviously the comments got me thinking today. Tell me what you guys think about this. If,
Go on.
maybe it's not realistic that we get, 175, $200 million for him. So what if we get a big chunk of money and a great player? So what if Man City gives us 60 million, say 70 million, and Phil Foden, and then you go and you spend that 60 million on Paulo Dybala and Danny Ings, or some,
Very tricky question.
I'm just saying. I'm trying to get creative with it. If Kane would leave in the summer, that's what Levy's going to have to do, right? Is get creative. To
Wait, we're
better.
selling Kane to City.
Well, that's a realistic location. For
They got money.
If we're selling Kane to City, then we buy Holland.
We'll probably get Aguero.
Straight Haaland.
You're saying because City doesn't buy Holland, so we should.
Yeah.
Mr. Levy won't spend 150 million on one player. That's
But
for
It
sure.
doesn't matter. You wait till
that's what I'm
you
saying.
go out. You go out and you pick up Ivan Toney or you sign Vinicius and you roll with that first season, and then you trigger Holland's release clause next, which is £65 million.
That might be possible, Will.
See, I'd rather
Yeah,
get.
but there's no way Haaland's going to stay there for that extra year. It would be
No,
stupid
yeah,
on
he's not
Borussia
doing it.
Dortmund's
I
part not to
think
sell him in the
I
summer.
think
This
I'd rather
summer,
get
Haaland's going to leave.
and
That's
keep
for sure.
Alba, and then
150 million,
not
someone's going to
another
pay.
guy.
The problem Dortmund's got is they got Sancho and they got Haaland, and basically they can afford to sell one of them this season, and then they have to sell the other one next season. And
Yep.
it's a foregone conclusion that they're going to have to let go of both of them. It's just a case of like when they let them go, when they can get the money for it. And I think Haaland's first, and then Sancho.
Well, I think that if you
So-
want to get Sancho, you got to
Maybe.
do it now because his price is dropping, whereas Holland's is on the rise.
Well, I think they're both.
The problem is
Because
Haaland's
his
got a
contract, because of his contract, Will. I
Yeah.
think because of his contract.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
Jadon
all you
Sancho's 2
got
years
to do
contract.
is have him sign another contract this summer and bump that clause out another year.
unfortunately, Haaland's father is not going to let him do that. He's already gone to like Spain, or he's already behind the scenes spoken to enough of the big top teams anyway. Personally, he's going
I
there
see Holland
personally.
going to City. I don't see City coming in for Kane. I mean, Holland's dad played at City. You know, he's been a City fan his whole life. I
Even
see
the
Holland going
Odegaard.
to City.
But maybe that's not.
Guys-
They could be asking 200
we
million
need-
for Holland, and that's what
We
I'm
need
saying.
Champions League football. We are desperate to get Champions League football. To be honest, to keep Kane, we got to bring the Champions League football.
Oh, 100%, 100%.
But do you actually believe those reports of
Crying for
Kane
Champions
leaving?
League football.
It's-
He's crying for Champions League football. To be honest, he's a Champions League player.
Guys, sorry, I'm going to come back in 10 minutes. Just got to do something quickly.
Every source is saying, even Alistair Gold is saying that Harry Kane will stay. He is desperate to play the Champions League football. To be honest,
Yeah, but are we going to
He
get
needs the
Champions League football? Probably not. I don't feel confident about it.
How long
That's,
do you
I
think
think,
this
around
transfer saga
5%.
will last to? Probably going to go until the last week of the summer window, man. Just negotiating for Harry Kane. Ugh.
We can't let it go that long because then we need to get players in with.
That's
the
what
money.
I'm saying. So, Daniel, if you're Daniel Levy, you're kind of in a
You got to sell.
predicament.
guys. If we wanna sell one superstar player, that might be Dele Alli. I think we can get some money from him. I really expect
How much do you really think you can get for Dele Alli, though?
35, maybe, or around 35 to 30.
That's not. What's that going to get in though? Who are we going to bring in for 30 million to replace Dele Alli? I'm okay with selling him. I just don't think the money he's going to bring in. You'd need to sell another 5 players to really get in the kind of money that we need this summer.
Yeah. But
Dele's
it's really
not
hard to sell those 5 players. It's really hard to sell those 5 players. To be honest.
Well, that depends if you're buying into the narrative that we need to generate funds to buy players by selling players, which I don't buy. You know what?
I think.
No,
based on what
you know
we-
what?
I think
You shouldn't be letting Enoch off the hook that easily, because
Yeah.
even if we did not sell a single player, our ownership could open their wallets and spend 9 figures, however you want to, easily. So
we've
we
never
should
done
not be accepting
They've never
the
done that.
reality that they are trying to impose upon us, that we must sell players to buy players, right? We shouldn't be accepting that, because that was what we've been told that before, and there have been windows where we have been told that, and we've received more investment than we haven't expected. So no, but Dele Alli, if someone came in for 35 for Dele right now, sell.
I'm
Yeah.
taking
Exactly.
that in an instant.
Exactly.
Honestly,
I'm
I don't
taking
think
that
that
all
much
day.
because I think even Declan Rice was going on to another club for less than that. It was like 25 or something like that. The report came out today that he had agreed personal terms with who was it?
I'm gonna go with Calvin Phillips of Leeds United. To be honest, I'm in love with him.
Isn't he more of like a DM though? Isn't he like a Hoiberg type position or what?
Exactly.
But he is, but he's more like an end on belly type of player.
Yeah.
He's far more creative than Hoiberg. And honestly, I would go in for
He would be-
Phillips. I think that'd be a great shout. Could you imagine Phillips, Hoiberg, and end on belly in the midfield? That would
Exactly.
be like, ooh.
I feel like
Exactly.
Tottenham have their eyes set on Marcel Sabitzer. Like I feel like they've kind of put
But why?
a lot.
Him too.
No, but like
Oh, God,
you hear
please make it
reports
happen.
of them saying that they've been interested in him for years now, and I feel like they've kind of put that challenge and they kind of promised to themselves that we're going to get Sabitzer whether it's the right decision or not.
It
And
can't be the
Skriniar-
priority, though. It can't be the priority. Sabitzer would be a great addition, but you need center backs first.
Let me look. Can I respond to this question? I disagree with you, Cilius. I respect your opinion, but I disagree with you because Phillips was good enough to make the England squad this year. and Weeks wasn't. So that's pretty good evidence for that there.
Winks is better than Phillips.
In the Premier League week in, week out. Winks isn't.
He's smoking.
Phillips is way better than Winks.
Would you guys take
Way, way
how about like a James Ward-Prowse? Because you hear reports of Harry Winks possibly going to Southampton. Would you guys take like a swap?
Only
No.
if
I would
I'll tell you what I
go
would
for-
do.
only
I
if
would-
Winks
I would send Harry Winks to Norwich plus cash for Max Aarons. That's what I would do because that
They're gonna need a
addresses.
skip
I would
replacement.
feel bad doing Norwich that.
No,
Skip
you don't.
and Max Aarons from him.
I mean, Skip is ours, so they got no choice. I feel like
They got no choice.
I know.
They got no choice.
I mean, they're going to need a
we can
skip
do a business
replacement.
with Norwich
So-
City, to be honest.
So if we
Yeah, because
swap
Oliver
Winks,
Skip is
It
there.
makes
look,
it fair.
I would
Max
I would
Aarons could
swap
be
Harry
ours.
Winks for a 6-pack and a bag of pork rinds. All right, so
I'd swap
So-
Winks for a new set of training cones. That's what I'm saying. I don't think that gets the deal done with Norwich.
I said plus cash, so whatever cash it takes, it
True,
doesn't
true.
matter, right?
Okay. Yeah, fair.
Winks plus
Because
5
let's
million.
face it, we can't compare our ambitions to that of a championship club, and that's what Norwich are, and that's what they're always going to be. They're not going to maintain. They're not going to come in and just.
No Max Aarons, but it's a question of the value.
and that may be a true statement right there from DP, who's not a Tottenham fan, by the way. But thank you for the compliment. That means you watch a lot of my shows in order to know that. And the funny part about it is my son's name is Paul Stewart, and he does play in the midfield, just like the Paul Stewart that used to play for Tottenham back in the not so good days. So,
So do you guys think Max Aarons is should be our number one right back target? Is that what you guys have your eyes set on?
I think so.
Max Aarons, okay.
I don't know if it's realistic. I think he's going to go to Bayern. I just think there's too many big fish in form right now, and if we don't have Champions League football come next season, it's going to be harder to attract someone like that.
better
I mean,
options
is he
come-
that good though?
I
Really?
really rate him.
Max Aarons is good, man. Max Aarons is good, to
I
be
really-
No,
honest.
Bayern though.
I think
Really?
he's good, but I don't think he's fabulous.
I mean, I've only watched him at Norwich a couple times when I'm watching Skip, but
If you want fabulous, then we should go Arshad Hakimi,
he's a boss.
Hakimi's the type of player that should go to Bayern. He's
He's going to command 50 million if he's leaving.
Yeah, Paul Stewart scored the first goal in a winning FA Cup final in 1984.
How
Best
about
right
Tariq
back in
Lamptey?
the world.
Not the
Man,
winning
nobody
goal,
is
but the
doing
first
this,
goal.
man.
When's your son going to score us an FA Cup goal, Will?
Let's see. He'll be old enough. He'll be 17 by the 2026 Olympic or World Cup. So my guess is 2032-ish.
In cup games, yeah.
But he's not going to go by Paulinho. He's going to go by Paulo. He's a big Paulo Dybala fan. And because he's half white, half Korean, people think that he's Hispanic. And so that would make sense. Paulinho would make sense too.
Lille's right back, JG Selic as well. I think he's a quality player as well. We have been linked with this player for so long, I think so.
Sorry, who? Can you repeat that one more time? Who?
JG Selic, Lille's right back.
Oh, okay. Turkish, right? Turkish right back?
Yeah, Turkish footballer, exactly.
Okay.
Turkish right back. He might be a cheap option with a good quality player. Maybe.
I mean, yeah, I've seen him play a couple of times. He is really balanced, but he just doesn't grab my interest the way like I want
Alright,
more
who-
of an attacking, exciting.
Who are you looking
fullback.
for it right back then? Because to be honest with you, I don't have any. I don't see anyone out there that really is like, man, I want.
I mean,
I want Serginho Dest, but that's not going to happen.
yeah,
But
no,
even
no.
Serginho Dest to me is eh.
Yeah. Did you see what Mbappe did to that guy?
I like him.
He's improving, but
both sides
not
just as well.
good.
He doesn't have a preference for which side he plays. So I think that versatility would be really helpful for us.
He's also not that good defensively. He's really good playing. Like he has really good ball control, so he fits perfectly
Yeah,
with
but
Barca.
that's what Premier League fullbacks are. They're not that good defensively, and they're just great going forward. Look at Trent. Look at Kyle Walker. Look at a lot of guys. The best
we need
fullbacks.
Premier League. We need Premier League proven right back. To be honest,
No, I get off that Premier League proven crap. That drives me nuts, because then you miss out on a sea of players who end up becoming, world class players that you didn't give a shake because they're not Premier proven. That whole concept really drives me up the wall.
Most
only
Premier
position
League
we
proven
got
players didn't start out that way, if not all of them, right?
Every world class player on our team, except for
everyone
Kane,
says like that, guys.
is
Everyone
not
says
wasn't
like that.
Premier proven.
Premier League proven, Premier League proven. I don't know why.
Yeah, but I think it's an
think it
English
only
mentality
matters-
that drives me absolutely insane, right? Like
But
if you would
sometimes it
so-
works
so
perfectly.
crazy.
Like when you get someone like a Hoiberg who slots in perfectly because he's proven. So sometimes it could actually work perfectly in that case. But a lot of times you shouldn't
because
restrict yourself.
but that's because he came from Byron and the before that, and
His
he won a
mentality-
Champions League. I mean, he was more than Premier League proven. He played for Southampton for a couple of years. And no, come on now, none of us really looked at Hoiberg before he signed for the club in the summer.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody was watching the Southampton week in and week out and be like, man, Hoiberg's class and quality. Are you leaving?
Yeah, I gotta go. So
Oh,
you know what? We'll see you
Promote your Twitter. Comac do.
follow me for fantasy baseball takes. No,
And if you want to see more of Cody, make sure to subscribe to my channel and Tottenham Away.
Okay, Cody.
And
Yep.
we are Tottenham TV, because that's where you can find him the most.
And
Yeah.
you know what? I know that probably this is going to end in a score prediction, and I've been saying it all week, and I have no factual evidence to back up my prediction, but 3-0 to Spurs tomorrow.
We know.
Predict
Oh
the
my
unpredictable.
I love
Let's
it.
go. You never would
You
have
can
thought
expect
that
from Spurs.
you never
You
would
don't
have
know
thought
what
that
is coming from
10-man
Spurs.
Leeds would have pulled out a victory against Man City today.
That's
So
right.
if 10-man Leeds can beat Man City, we can take care of business against United tomorrow.
Now,
Come
Cody,
on, you Spurs.
will we see you
Fingers
tomorrow,
crossed.
win or
Cody,
lose?
come on, you Spurs.
Yeah, for sure. Win or lose, you'll see me tomorrow.
If we lose, we'll probably most definitely see you. But if we win, we hope to see you too.
See you,
Glory,
Cody.
glory.
Bye-bye. Come on, you
Take
Spurs.
care.
Glory,
Good night.
glory,
Thanks for
top
coming
notch.
on, my man.
Good night. Bye-bye.
All right, fellas.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this
30.
Brandon, Premier League proven is a real thing. Let me bring this comment up. We got Brandon in the house, but you're welcome to jump on the show if you'd like, Brandon. You don't have to if you don't want to. So many great players come from other leagues and don't kick on
Andy, is that
immediately because
real
of the
example?
difference.
My take on the Premier League proven thing is it's really only important when you're talking about the physicality differences between the Prem and like La Liga,
Right.
something
But
like
can I throw something in here as an American that I think is something that people don't grasp? So as far as the World Cup is concerned, or international soccer is concerned, what are Americans known for? What is the only thing that helps us get out of group stages against European sides? Our physicality, right? That's the only thing that does it. So why does the EPL snub its nose at American MLS talent, young MLS American talent, or Canadian talent,
technical.
or Mexican talent? Because the Mexican players as well are known for physicality as well. Why does it snub its nose at that at leagues that are equally physical? And I don't mean necessarily running distance, but I'm talking about like putting a hurt on somebody. When Germany, Italy, and even now La Liga are starting to snap them up like hotcakes. I mean, because who would have? How many people would have said, how many Spurs fans in the UK would have been like Alphonso Davies is a world class left back, and now he's probably one of the most highly priced left backs in the world.
Exactly, Will.
Yeah, the most highly priced. That's a good
100%.
question. I don't know. I think it's probably because those European, or maybe it's the Premier League mentality, but I think they default to the technical ability over the physicality, because I think there's a stigma associated with like the beautiful game kind of, that kind of narrative where it's more important to be technically brilliant than to handle that physicality. So I don't know. That's just kind of my gut reaction to that.
No, I mean, because I would have could you imagine a midfield pairing of, because who would be perfect in a double pivot with Højbjerg? Is Weston
Calvin
McKennie.
Phillips.
No, Weston
Weston
McKennie.
McKennie.
That might be a great option.
Yeah.
But Juventus has
It would
always-
be a great. It'd be a perfect fit because Weston McKennie can run. He not only is he solid defensively and will put a
That
hurt
man
on
can
somebody.
run.
and
He
his
runs
nationality,
box
yes.
to box. He's also great on the attacking side. He's got a great header in the box on set pieces, and you let him go on a loan to Juventus, and then you could actually see what his quality was. And now his value, by the time he could ever come to the Premier League, he's going to cost 80 million pounds.
80 to 90. That's for sure.
And that's what bugs me too, is if Son is on his way out in the next year or two, right? Why are we not snapping up Gio Reyna today?
Do you think Son's
Will-
out next
Will,
year?
Will, what's the position of Wesley? What's the position of him?
He's
Wesley
a defensive
McKennie,
midfielder?
it's like a
He's like
number
a
8.
box to box.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a great Sissoko replacement. If you want to look for a
Okay.
quality, a big upgrade on Sissoko, Weston McKennie. I couldn't think of a better number 8 box to box guy who's big, physical presence, strong, quick, fast, technical.
100%.
He was like 20 million in the summer, right? From
Yeah,
Schalke.
20 million. He went from Schalke to Juventus after the loan deal.
Kind of player. He's like
Loan with obligation to buy.
It's a bargain, man.
Or they could have gotten him, or you could have gotten him from a free from FC Dallas. 3 years ago, for free.
I think because like you have these players like Josie Altidore, and even guys like God, what's that legendary American striker, man? They used to play for Everton too.
He used to play for us, Dempsey.
Not Clint Dempsey. The
He's legendary.
is it London Donovan? Is that his
Yeah.
name?
for like 5
And-
games.
Yeah, Donovan.
Donovan.
Oh, way back in the day.
Yeah, London
Oh, he was
Donovan.
the same
Even
time
he-
as Dempsey.
Yeah.
Yeah, he kind of flopped too, or he didn't really fulfill his potential. And even like that, the really expensive winger for Newcastle, Paraguay, that they got from Atlanta. Newcastle, we just faced him, the Paraguay winger.
I don't remember.
What is his name, man? But yeah, he hasn't fulfilled. Newcastle bought him for a lot of money. He hasn't fulfilled his potential. So I feel like there's whenever a Premier League team goes big on, London Donovan. Thank you, Brandon Nixon. Whenever they go big on these American talents or from the MLS, usually they don't fulfill their potential. But Miguel Almiron, that's his name, Miguel Almiron. They don't fulfill their potential, but then
He looked good.
It is-
I thought he looked good in the Newcastle game, Elmer.
he has a lot of energy. I'll give him
Yeah,
that.
he
But
runs
in the
around
final
well.
third, go on.
But does he
No,
start
no.
for us? I've never seen his. I don't remember his name from an international friendly.
Who? Miguel Almiron?
Yeah.
No, he's from Paraguay. He's a Paraguay winger.
Oh,
He
okay,
starts for Paraguay, but he came from Atlanta in the MLS. It was him and what's his name, Martinez, the Colombian striker.
Yeah, but I don't think it's good enough.
No,
he does
he's
run around
not.
a bit, but he's not good enough.
But that's what I'm saying. But the amount of money they bought him for,
Yeah, but it's
Peanuts.
a lot less
Peanuts.
player success rate from the North American clubs. For every Weston McKennie, there's 5 guys that'll never make it off your bench.
No, that's true. I mean, we've got one, Cameron Carter-Vickers, even though he didn't come, he was a Tottenham Academy kid, even though because he's half British, half
He
American.
didn't get
But
the chance.
but no, I'm talking about identifying the top talent and the top young talent in MLS, right? because Germany's snatching up these kids left and right, no problem.
Yeah, but they're grabbing our kids as well.
God.
But yeah, that's because nobody's giving them a shake. Well, I'm saying, what is wrong? What is wrong with Tottenham Hotspur's scouting department that they're completely
Exactly.
missing this?
Yeah, but it's not just our scouting department. I think
It's the whole English league.
Premier League, yeah. I
think
that's
it's the Premier
what I'm
League as
saying. I
well.
think it's just a bias against the
Beside
North
Leicester.
League.
Beside Leicester, to be honest. Beside Leicester.
Oh, who they get? Leicester? They
Who
got
are they
somebody?
signing?
No, I haven't
got-
seen it. Who did they
they
bring
got
in
West-
from MLS?
Look, we turn around and say that Kane is one of our own, but look at how many loans he had to have. And
How
the only
many
reason why he got into the squad was because Tim Sherwood used to be the under-21s manager, and when he
Right,
became
played
the
at
manager,
Arsenal until he was 15, right? So
my point being is that he had to work really, really hard and go to a lot of different clubs and be frustrated by sitting on the bench or get bruised up and kicked up. He had to change a lot as a player, get a lot more wiser, take his chances when he sniffed them. Because a lot of other Premier League strikers, they take chances and they keep missing them, and it's all right. We're going to choose them next week. But for someone like Kane, in order for him to get into the squad, he had to convert his chances, get that high conversion rate. He wasn't the fastest in the planet. You know, he wasn't one of those guys that would just suddenly,
He
you know,
improved a
slip
lot.
the.
yeah, but look, this is what really irks me. It's Bayern Munich bought Alphonso Davies for 8 million.
Oh my
Euros.
God, he's world class. To me, he's world class.
I know
8
so.
million euros.
Yeah, but
You know what I'm saying? And it's not like anybody who follows MLS that even in the slightest bit didn't know that Alphonso Davies was an absolute monster. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, what's worse is Marcus Edwards.
And but like Silius makes a good point. It's hard for U.S. youngsters. Okay, we can't. Okay, so it is our FA rule that you can't sign for a club until you're 18, right? So I'm not talking about the youngsters. I'm talking about Alphonso Davies, who's Canadian and is part of the Commonwealth, and who can get a work permit easily in the UK because of his Canadian citizenship.
Yeah.
Like, for example, somebody like, do you think Tottenham should be trying to get someone like Jonathan David, who's like the next upcoming Canadian striker? He's killing it in Lille right now, in the French league.
Well, I'm not saying it's like you just got to be from North America for no reason, but like I'm just saying we should be looking at these people, and because think about it, you're getting a lot, especially the ones coming out of MLS, because there is no solidarity payments for MLS. You're either getting them for free or very low fees.
Exactly.
And the worst thing that happens is you sell them off to a Champions League club or championship side or back to MLS for about what you paid for them, right? So
I think the thing is, it'd be nice to have all this talent, but either way, you're going to have to buy that. If you're wanting us to scout this kind of talent, we got to buy them.
It's a hit and miss thing, to be honest.
And it's, you know,
no, nobody thought, it's not hit and miss. Nobody doubted Alphonso Davies' ability when he went to Bayern Munich. Not one person.
No, not Alphonso.
Barcelona did. Barcelona was about to sign him
way before his prime, right? So Alphonso Davies is an outlier because he's, you know, a top 5 left back in the world. But with most of these,
he's really, really a good player.
18 from the U.S., it's like a Joe Roden kind of career path where you're not going to get a ton of game time. You're going to have to wait for them to bet in. So maybe if we did that 3-4 years ago, we'd have the talent now. But I don't think it makes sense as a strategy right now.
But no, but like here's NFL tie. It makes getting us U.S. talent smart. It'll be in Levy's plans. No, it's not.
No,
Because right now, I know having a son who plays youth soccer here in the U.S., Liverpool has their own academy in the U.S. Arsenal have their sister academies here in the U.S. Schalke, Barcelona, Real Madrid, Bayern. You can go and you can play. They have their own. Barcelona has live-in academies, several of them in the United States. So I mean, there are other clubs in Europe who are actively scouting young American youth talent. And Tottenham Hotspur, they come and do a camp in South Florida once a year, and that's it.
That's not going to cut it.
I'll tell you.
At the end of the day, it's our
really
our
poor.
scouting side is very weak.
5 years back,
I
our
mean, the strange
scouting
thing is
side
that
was
there's so
really,
much
really
information
bright.
about players.
I'll tell you this much too. Not one American NFL fan knows that the football games being the NFL games being played in London are at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. They have no idea.
Nor do they care.
They couldn't care less that it could be at the Emirates. It could be at Stamford. They don't care. They have no idea. So that it means.
But Dan, one of the reasons why we built such a expensive stadium is so that in the future we can start to get that recognition internationally by the concerts, by the NFL, by all the other type of.
But you know how you can get that recognition instantly?
On the pitch, yeah.
That was the
Is
real
you
objective.
sign Gio Reyna from Dortmund for
That's
35 million,
way
and you'd
more.
immediately.
You do get players. You do get quality players that would like walk into a stadium and go, "Wow, man, this is like."
I'd be willing to bet. I'd be willing to bet.
I think it's different in the States too, because there's a lot more really new quality stadiums. So it's not as impressive as a feat to if you're trying to attract North American talent, because I'd say there's probably 20 stadiums in the US that are as maybe fewer, but there's double-digit number of stadiums in the US that are as nice as Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. That's for sure.
I think America has a lot of potential for when it comes to football. Purely because I think there's a lot more, like the way that Americans look at sports, they look at the details and the facts and the stats a little bit more than the way we do in Britain. I suppose in a way, if you look at your national sports like baseball and NFL, there's like a stop-start to the game. So you got like plays being played and you got stats being recorded, and the generations pass that information from one generation to the next generation in the format of stats. Whereas in Britain, we don't look at it that way. We don't say, oh, he scored 15 goals, 15 assists, and he did this many number of touches. We say, look, he played terrible because we saw him playing terrible. We saw him being scared out of his wits. We saw him passing the ball, but not passing in the direction we wanted him to pass. So we don't give a monkeys about that passing stat that he's got, like Winks, for example. I think it's just a difference in culture as well, what we've got here.
Sure.
But the untapped potential that you've got in America when it comes to
huge,
football
man.
itself is humongous.
I mean, the athletes, and that's why it's so frustrating for me as an American, because we're a huge minority. Even TV wise here in the U.S., I think it's, even though it's on the uprise, I think EPL ratings and MLS ratings make football, English football, association football in America the 6th most watched sport on television.
And that even sounds high to me, to be honest with you.
That's based on ratings.
No, but I would venture it's not the 6th most watched sport in the U.S. Maybe it is
on TV.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah, definitely not. For fans going to stadiums and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, of course, yeah.
Television ratings is what I'm going by, because you have Hispanic communities as well and in expats and all kinds of stuff here. So
right.
But it's growing, and this is a fun stat for you, Mr. K. We have 3 times as many kids playing youth soccer in America than the population of London.
It's growing massively.
So there's 32 million. Right. What's the population of London? 10 million? 12 million?
About 7 to 8, 9 maybe now.
9 million.
Might have gone up. I don't know, but it was around about 7, 8, 9 last time I looked.
So there's 32 million kids enrolled in youth soccer in the United States, according to U.S. Soccer Federation in 2021. 32 million kids. So that's half the country, half the population, almost the entire population of Canada, and half the population of the UK playing soccer. But here's the problem: it's all pay to play. So it's only the kids that are financially able to if you want to be competitive, and like I said, it costs me probably all inclusive. I'm not talking just fees, but the travel, the kits, the boots, the training, the fees. It cost me probably about $8,000 a year for my son to play at a competitive level.
Yeah, even Zlatan mentioned that in the USA it was really expensive.
And like Brandon says, and this is the best point, and this is the point that I was coming to next, is that it doesn't get the best athletes, right? So all of the best natural born athletes are going to football, basketball,
Those two
primarily because of the popularity, the overarching popularity. If you had some of the natural athletes,
and accessibility too, like you were saying, the money thing, it's way cheaper to play competitive basketball or competitive football.
Well, and I think for the America
US
thing, and
football is
what
really
really kills it, and this is part of it, cost and competition with other sports with cheaper access. It's not only that, it's also too how players are scouted in the United States, youth players. So in both American football and basketball, you may play what we call travel sports here. It's where you travel from city to city and playing other top tier competitive teams in the youth ages. But once you get to high school takes over, and college recruiters and all of those and professional recruiters come and scout high school games.
Will you don't get there any scholarship?
No, that's what I'm saying. The colleges and the pros come and scout the high school games, and then the pros come and scout the college games. But with football, with association football, English football, or soccer, high school soccer is the players who can't make the top tier
high school soccer is a joke.
Travel teams in the United States.
Even university soccer isn't the highest level of that.
No, that's like level C. So if you play college soccer in America, that's like level C. So for like my son, the team that he plays on, he's not allowed to play school sports because the level of coaching is just some gym teacher who doesn't actually have a USF license to coach soccer. And so he's not allowed to play school sport at his level because he plays the full 10-month season. So colleges come to club soccer first, which costs, like I said, about $8,000 a year to participate in. And that's where they scout from. So high school, so that's what makes it different, because you can be from a poor community, you can be from, an impoverished area where you're just kicking the ball on the street. You can make it to high school, you can make the team, you can, through hard work, you can excel, and, you can kick it off. But in soccer, you can't.
Imagine if they would have changed that dynamic.
A lot of those development programs, if you're in them for other sports rather than your high school team, it's a surefire path to professional or semi-professional. For example, like ice hockey, if you skip the high school level of ice hockey and you're at the development level, you're going straight. It's a fast track to the professional level.
Same as soccer.
Yeah.
So, Will, what's the difference between Europe and America regarding?
So, in Europe, you have clubs, right? So, not only do you have Premier League clubs, and you have Championship side clubs, and you have League One size clubs, and Mr. K, correct me if I'm wrong, and then you have non-league side clubs.
Yeah,
there's a local soccer club or a football club anywhere, and if you go to a trial and you make it, right, for the smaller clubs, you may have to pay for your kit, right? But for for an EPL or a championship side youth academy, you don't pay a dime.
Yeah, it's quite good here. I mean, the advantages we've got in Britain to promote football with the youth is it's amazing. But for some reason, it's like trying to get the youngsters to go through those channels and then eventually make it to the top. It's almost like if you're in this country, the best you can hope for is going into the championship, right? And then because you got 25-man squad, and then you got 17-man limit for foreign players, right? 17-man limit, right? So you're going to choose a 25-man squad, and like 8 of those people are going to be English. I mean, I understand the FA wants to tighten that up. We want to see more flair, but something's got to give somewhere. you know, the English players are getting priced too excessively.
Exactly. Too
You
high.
know, it's too high. But then I think that's one of the reasons why the Germans have like slipped in and like bought them when they're young. You know, we hear about the success stories. We don't hear about the ones that didn't. Like, for example, who heard about Dyer before he went to Portugal?
No one.
You know, did anyone? Was he in the national side? Was he in the under 21? I don't know. I can't remember that. But the point was is that.
And that's the thing too, that because America's so big and we have so many clubs, because they're all for profit, so they're everywhere, right? Good and bad. We lost Mr. K.
He'll be back, probably.
Yeah, he says his device was not connected. But because we're so big, that it really makes it difficult even for our U.S. men's national team to scout people. Because like in the last international break, when I was watching the under 23s trying to qualify for the Olympics, I think it was that new striker. I want to say Fernandez. I thought he looked really good.
Oh yeah.
I'll have to double check. I'll look it up by what other people are talking. But
but that's just the main point of just like, again, like in U.S. and Canada practically falls in the same category. Like the high school sports is where it's at if you want to play for basketball and football, and that's all we can pick because it's free. But again, when it comes to soccer and playing in these house leagues and everything, that was pretty much like the biggest factor as to why I didn't dive deeper into the soccer category. It's too expensive. That's why, again, you have none of these kids in the hood. None of these kids are playing soccer, but I guarantee you, these kids are the most athletic.
yeah, they're all playing basketball
and football. I'm telling you, if you have a guy like Allen Iverson, bro, this guy will be a top-notch right wing. I'm telling you. But he
LeBron playing center back. He'd bowl people over.
Well, I mean, not only that, the height. Could you imagine? We could end up filling center backs. We could end up filling a back line of people that average 6'8".
Yeah, that'd be insane.
Yeah, like the quicker they change that dynamic, the better.
This is the thing too that I think that hurts is that culturally too. Like, there's a lot of people that call soccer sissy ball, and you know all this. Like they like to feminize soccer because of the success of the U.S. women's national team, but there's not enough money in the U.S. But this is the thing, though. What these professionals don't realize is that they can make, they can sign contracts for $3 to $15 million a year playing U.S. sports. But if they were to follow football, they could be signing contracts in Europe for making 3 or 4 times that. Right? Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo are the highest paid athletes in the world. Like football and basketball don't even come down into like the bottom half of the top 10.
Yeah, 100%.
So what they don't realize is that there's a whole other world here and soccer doesn't, soccer or football doesn't stop at the border. Whereas with American professional sports, if you go to another country, it's like playing in the minor leagues, right? It's not the same thing.
Yeah.
If you really want to get rich, association football is the way to go, in my opinion. If you really want to get out there,
a lot
and make
of these kids have like tunnel vision that they think that I'm gonna get scouted up to Toronto FC, and then they go look at like the average salary, and they're like, "Yo, the hell with that! Like I could be making 3 times more than that, being the 9th man on a Toronto Raptors bench." So they just decide to just go through the Toronto Raptors route, the basketball route, And also, it also comes down to a lot of these European teams are not really scouting these American kids as not too often. It's not really enough hope that they're giving to these kids, right? So I think it kind of goes hand in hand in that aspect.
No, I hear you. For sure.
They don't even scout in Asia as well. There are many top players in Asia as well, to be honest. Like we can see so many examples like Heung-min Song, Shinji Kagawa, and many more, but no one comes in Asia, and we don't know anyone about Asia. That's the problem, to be honest.
I think they do in Asia. They look in Asia probably more than they do here, to be honest with you. I mean, because there's just as many Korean. If you're talking about population size comparison, like a percentage, right? Korea has a population of 50 million people. And you have probably playing in Europe at least 8 or 9.
Yeah.
America has a population of 350 million people, and we have like 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when you take in the ratio, it's not even close. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like they need to be more diverse in recruiting the Asian talent because there's only like Korea and like Japan,
Yeah.
but like
Yeah.
you don't really see those like there's probably like one Iranian player. What is the guy who plays for Brighton? What's his name? Jabash.
Brandon, yeah, it's a really hard name.
Yeah,
I think that's because they're. I mean, in Korea it has the same problem, right? It's all based off international team performance. So if you're not making it out of the Asia Cup or the Asia qualification,
You guys listen to any player besides Korea and Japan? No players from Sri Lanka, no players from Bangladesh, no players from Nepal. No, they don't even come in these countries. But these players, this country don't even host any leagues, any proper leagues, and the top club never invest in these things, But to be honest, in this country there are really a top player as well.
I'm
I've
sure
seen
there
it.
are. There's a lot of people that slip through the cracks, all over the place. I would agree 100%, and I think that we need to be looking for
Hamza
that.
Chowdhury, right? Isn't that the only Bangladesh player? He's
No, I think he's hybrid. I think his father is Bangladesh and his mother is English. To be honest, I
yeah,
think
he
that's
came up through the English ranks. I'm pretty sure he played like on the England youth teams.
Leicester City Academy.
Yeah, the guy with the afro, the DM, yeah, Hamza Chowdhury. But yeah, that's one of the few. Yeah, then
In this small,
Jesus Ferreira.
In this small country, they don't even get a proper salary. To be honest, they can't feed their families and they can't play football all the time. They can't rely on football. To be honest, that's the real problem in these small countries.
I mean, yeah, like 90% of the countries have that same problem though. They're not, recruiting enough from these parts of the world. Like you can just even go to like East Africa. Like I'm telling you, like when you come to like these neighborhoods, bro, these Somalian kids are ballers, bro.
Exactly.
But none of them ever make a pro. I don't know why, but like
we can see their videos so many times.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, these Somalian kids are ballers, bro. But none of these kids make it. But it's like so many nations have that problem. I guess you can't really fulfill.
As if there's a glue in their feet. The football is stuck every time in the feet, stuck.
Yeah.
Like I can tell you one guy who you could be on the look for is Gianluca Busio. Plays for Sporting Kansas City. He was the third youngest player to ever sign a professional contract with the MLS. One of the youngest players to ever score a goal in the MLS. And he's a little rough around the edges, but he's only 18 years old. And if you were to take him to Europe and he's got his dad is Italian, like first generation Italian, so he could get a passport to anywhere in the EU at least. After Brexit, it may be difficult to get into England, but it's not very often that a 16-year-old or a 17-year-old is getting signed to a pro contract and starting for the first team for an MLS club in the United States. Like that doesn't happen very often. It's mostly after college, right? That players are moving to the MLS. When you have players like that, Europe should be slurping them up before they even get there, because either way, you're just going to sell them right back to the MLS for, $2 or $3 million after the fact. I mean, you're not. It's not a loss of funds at all, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think we've got about Yedlin, isn't it? Remember Yedlin when he came in to take over?
DeAndre Yedlin.
Guys, is it true that to reach the
defender,
to reach to the pro, it's less than 1% to reach in the Premiership? Not even 1%, close to 1%.
Oh, it's probably 1% of the top 1% that make the Premier League. But to be honest with you, I mean, it is in pro soccer anyway. But I can tell you right now that for professional sports, the people that say it's only for the top 1%, that's because everybody else gives up. Exactly. They're not willing to put it all on the line and risk their entire future, right? Because the majority of players that make it professionally aren't superstars from the get-go. I mean, Harry Kane had to make a choice after Arsenal let him go. Do I quit because they say I'm fat and goofy, or do I prove them wrong? right? Like it's the people with perseverance and willing to take it all the way to the end. Those are the people that make it pro. Skill plays going pro is maybe 20% skill and 80% work ethic, in my opinion.
Yeah, you have to have some ambition or some sort of drive inside you to put the hours in, because the young teenager inside you wants to go out and have fun.
Yeah.
Wants to hang around with his
Play
mates,
video
wants to eat
games and
pizza.
do whatever. And to be honest with you, with my son, that's the only reason why I even have a hope. That's the only reason why I spend the money that I do on it, is because, you know, although he's 13 now and he's maybe going through a small phase where it's dwindled a little bit, but he's still the same kid that wakes up at 6 o'clock in the morning and does his yoga and stretches. And then when he gets home from school, if it's a non-training day, goes out and trains for 2 or 3 hours by himself.
Oof, really? Wow.
Your son
13,
owns or
yeah.
not, Will? Your
I
son
was
owns.
nothing like that. 13.
I wasn't either.
Oh my goodness.
What was that, Shasan?
Your son earns money or not? Or is he still starting to reach to the level?
Earn money. I pay money. I pay $8,000 a year for him to play. But no, but I mean, and then to go see
Really
his
a great
teammates.
father, to be honest, supporting your kid.
Yeah, well, I support him because we have an arrangement. We have an agreement. This is the agreement that I have. I told him that I will invest whatever it takes as long as he invests the time.
Hopefully he'll reach to the top level.
And then he has to pay me back. So this is what I told him. I said once he makes $3 million, he has to pay me 10%.
Okay.
That's a good
He
deal.
will
I
do
use
that.
managing
That's
That's
it.
a good deal.
That's a good deal.
for sure.
Yeah,
He will do that.
because that'll pay me back for
He
all
must
the
do that.
all the gas money and cash that I put into his career. So, but yeah, we have an agreement. We have agreement now. So he's he's an INTJ personality type, and he's very like kind of anal about things. And so, you know,
Which club does he play for? Will?
here in the U.S., he plays for a club called NC Fusion.
NC Fusion. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, they have
NC Fusion.
USL U23 team, which is like USL League 2 or something like that.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, any league beside MLS? Will? Any league beside MLS?
In
USA?
America? Yeah, we have
America?
MLS, which is the top tier.
Beside MLS?
Yeah, and then we have USL, which is the USL Championship is the second level. And then we have USL, I want to say 1. And USL 1 and NASL are level, like, I guess you could say would be like the equivalent to like League 1 in the UK.
You know FC Tulsa?
Yeah, FC Tulsa is USL Championship.
Exactly. I've been following this guy called Matt Selton. I follow
Yeah,
his
Matt Selton, beyond
exactly. His daily
yeah.
routines. I follow his ball mysteries and many more. You know, I think he's really a top guy.
Yeah, he plays
Professional.
right back or left back, one of those two.
Yeah. He's right back. He's a right back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Matthew Shell.
I've got a question for you guys.
Yeah.
If Sessenon comes back, and I say if,
He's in the
not
transfer
foregone
list,
conclusion.
Mr. K.
Sorry?
I think he's the transfer. I think he's in the transfer list. Ryan Session.
He's saying if he comes back.
Yeah, if he comes back, because I think the original plan was for him just to come back, because they didn't want to let go of the asset in terms of young talent. But the problem is this, is that he started off as a left back. He's much better as a winger. I don't see how, if he came back, how is he going to fit into the left back role?
You know what?
I don't see how he's going to fit. He doesn't have the necessary defensive qualities to do it. Before he went on loan, his body wasn't incredibly big. I think he's got a little bit bigger now. But he's definitely more useful up the front as an inverted winger.
I think that Jose, in an ideal world, wants to play 5 at the back. I think that's why he sent out Cess on loan to play specifically to play left wing back. I think that's why he bought Matt Doherty, who is obviously much better at right wing back. So I think in an ideal world, if he's got his players, Jose wants to set up with 5 at the back. So I think that's because Reguilon obviously can do that too. He's much better going forward.
So you could have like like two defensive. So you could have like two central defenders, and you could have one guy in the middle that might drop back, and then that would free up the wingers. Right now, the way Tottenham do it is that they swing one of the defenders, one of the left back or the right back, they swing him in as a defender, as a three, people in the middle, and then one of the other wingers, wing backs, runs forward. So whether that's Aurier or whether that's Region.
But that's what I'm saying. I think in an ideal world, Jose wants 3 center backs and 2 wing backs. He wants, a Toby, a Skriniar, and then, a Sanchez or a Rodin. And then he wants either Sessignon or Reguilon, and then Doherty or someone, of a better caliber than that.
Wasn't Dyer originally brought in to like really fill that role where he would play as a midfielder and then drop back?
Yeah, I think Jose definitely saw him as the center defender of a back 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
do you think Dyer can do it? Because
no, he can't.
I feel a bit bad because Dyer, when he first came over,
really
he got pushed into the midfield position. And you know what it is? If you want to become a defender in the Premier League, you have to play week in, week out as a unit with your goalkeeper. And he hasn't had that experience.
Yeah. Well, for Eric Dyer, it's all between the ears. He doesn't have it mentally to make it at the top level. And I think honestly you can see that in the documentary if you look at the way he talks. If you look at when Jose pulled him out at halftime and we go on to win that game and Christian Eriksen scores that late winner, the whole the whole locker room celebrating, and Eric Dyer's just sitting there sulking because he didn't get to play enough football.
Yeah, but didn't Jose apologize afterwards?
Yeah, apparently, I'm sure he did.
Why should he?
But
no, but the thing was, Jose did.
I don't think he's got it mentally to be a top level defender because he has the physical skill set for sure. He's big and he's strong and he can guys, but he doesn't know when to apply his skill set. And he doesn't know how to properly direct his teammates because he doesn't. That's not the first thing on his mind. He cares more about himself and his playing time than the 3 points.
Does anybody know what happened to Eric Garcia from Man City?
He's already
in Barcelona at the end of this year for a free. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he's meant to finish this. This was his last year at Man City, and he's a top quality defender. It's just that they bought Diaz.
Yeah, and I guess they just totally forgot about him, and now they're just like, they already have a core now, so they're like, we're just gonna keep him on the bench and just give him to Barca for free next year. So,
Man City,
anybody knows if he signed up for anyone?
He's played like 10 minutes this season, and he's absolutely class.
Who?
Top centre back.
So repeat that. Who?
I didn't hear it either.
Ake, Nathan Ake.
Oh, Nathan Ake.
Yeah.
Ake. I'm not a big fan of Ake.
I'm not a big fan of Ake. People only like him because he's a left-footed center back, and I feel like if that's
I'd have to agree with.
I would go for Yannick
here.
Vestergaard, to be honest.
I'm not sure that Doherty's even a class right wing back.
He was for Wolves, though. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, for the 18-19 season, one season he was good.
I'm not defending his ability. I'm just saying, based on the moves we made in the summer, I think Jose wanted to play the 3 at the back because if you're no one was complaining about Doherty when we bought him. We all thought he was going to be a solid right wing back.
Well, yeah, that's because the previous season he was like, as far as people that played FBL, he was like this. As far as defenders concerned, he was right behind Trent Alexander-Arnold.
That's exactly what I'm saying. He looked like a good right wing back, and then we loaned out Cess to specifically play left wing back. So I think the plan was, if we had a successful season and Doherty worked out, coming into this season, we'd bring back Cess and we'd play 5 at the back with Doherty and Sessignon as the wing backs. I'm not defending his ability.
I don't like 5 at the back anyways.
I think that we need to play Serge Aurier as a right winger, not as a right wing back, but as a number 11.
He's not good enough at crossing.
Oh, sure he is, man. No. He's got way better crosses and more goals in that
who's
right side than
Aurier?
Trippier, come on, Trippier is a different one.
Well, there you go. If we let go of a player that's good at crossing,
no, you can't play. I don't think you can play him as an out and out winger if you're going to play possession attacking football. He's not talented enough. He's fine as going forward as a defender, but as an out and out winger, he doesn't have enough talent. He can on like one of every 10 crosses. They're just not.
I don't think he's fine in any position or anywhere near this team.
I disagree. I think that because you've never seen him in that position, so you really can't say. And I'm just making assertions here as well that aren't based on any kind of empirical evidence whatsoever.
But can he actually
put Levy in
go
defense?
straight at his opponent and beat him and put in a cross? Can he do that though?
Yeah, I think he's big, he's strong, he's fast. I think he'd be like a Torreira type player if he were to actually push that.
Can he drop the shoulder and do a little something?
You can drop shoulder and do a little something, knock you down.
Yes, I think he's a better shooter than he is a crosser. If I'm going to be honest, I think he's got a better shot on him than he does a cross.
Guys, earlier I was talking about Dyer and I was saying that he hasn't had the consistent time. What I meant was that when you're a defender coming into the Premier League and you got to learn your craft as a central defender, if you look at Gomez, for example, in Liverpool, he's got someone like Van Dijk, rock solid. He can stand next to him, learn from him, gain experience from him. Dyer didn't get that from Yang Vertonghen. He didn't get that. He hasn't had that partnership with any of the strong defenders that we had. And I'm saying it's that lack of exposure along with an experienced defender that Dyer's missing. He can't just fill it in and then get coached for it. He needs to actually play with somebody.
But the thing about Dyer is it's not that he finds himself really out of position. He's generally in position, but he makes a bad challenge or he makes a terrible read on a situation because he doesn't have
he does what we call here stabbing.
You could put Van Dijk next to him, but Van Dijk can't tell him, hey, don't slide tackle a guy in the box. Don't take
exactly
Werner 3 times in the box. That's
He's also terrible with the ball, man. Like personally, I just seen the game Fulham versus Wolves, and I just seen that Yoshi Anderson center back, and that is a player that I want in Tottenham.
I think we're gonna snag him because I think Fulham's gonna get relegated, and that's a Daniel Levy's specialty. I'm calling it right now. Him and Sam Johnston will be Spurs players next season without a doubt because we'll pick him up for nothing from a relegated team, and they have one. Johnston has 1 year left on his contract. And Anderson's on loan, so
I'm not too angry at that, honestly.
He might pull out
Anderson.
Paulo Dybala, to be honest. He can pull out Paulo Dybala, to be honest. He also has 2 years contract.
I love
Igalo.
Dan, I think the run towards the end of the season, right? Yeah, Fulham might pull it out of the bag and get above Newcastle.
They could. I don't
Newcastle just trying to throw their season away. It just looks like it.
Why couldn't they do that last week? It would save me a whole lot of heartache. If they really wanted to throw it away.
That's why.
He was super angry that day. Super angry.
People kept saying that coming into our match with them. Oh, they're trying to get relegated on purpose. Well, they sure didn't show that on Sunday last week.
I think we had as a team we had this fear factor. Not fear factor. We used to make the other teams afraid of us in the 16-17 season. Coming into the 17-18 season, teams were genuinely afraid of us. So when Man United used to go and visit a team, half the battle was psychological. So when we play a team, a player that hasn't scored for 6 years suddenly gets the confidence to become world class that day. Because we don't exude that type of fear factor. It's like if we were as a team,
all those players pop up every time against us. I don't know why, but those players pop up every time against us.
That's the point. The reason why they do it is psychological.
Joe Linton
it's also momentum based as well.
Top scorer if he could play Spurs every week. He'd win.
I swear.
We made Joe Linton look like a world class striker, man.
He'd win the Golden Boot if he had 38 games against Spurs.
Like expressions told, he was looking like Thierry Henry.
Literally.
Bro, he was constantly targeting Davinson Sanchez the whole game. How many times would he drift towards Sanchez and just hold him up?
Sanchez was joke.
Swear,
do you guys think Sanchez will be on the team next season? Do you think we sell him this summer? Do you think he stays?
Have you guys seen those reports?
Jose Mourinho's
priority Real Madrid
is to sell Davinson Sanchez, not to sell Eric Dyer. I don't know why.
Foyth
Foyth, I
isn't
think
been
he's.
sold yet.
I think he's gonna go to Villarreal.
Yeah,
Villarreal
he's
is
Yeah, I know,
gonna
but what I'm
actually
saying
bring
is
him.
that
every
we've got a
week
lot of
or
players
whatever.
that have got an interest in. Some teams got an interest in them, but getting them
I think
over the
Villar-
line. I mean, a lot of the teams are now looking at summertime and saying, "Oh well, you know, you're asking for 15, we'll give you 7," and that's the type of game that Levy doesn't play.
No, he does play it. He just loses.
No, what I'm saying is he
I don't
plays it,
know
but
what's in
he
his
wants to play
mind.
the other way.
What's in the
Yeah,
Levy's mind, to
yeah.
be
He
honest.
wants to go from 7 to 15.
Right.
What I'm saying here is that we're going to be in a strange situation where we've got some players which are out on loan, and the clubs which are taking them on loan would like to really have them permanently. But the problem is that they're all going to get a little bit crafty with their figures and say, "Look, it's COVID. Forget 15." Look, if we are not going to turn around and honor Vinny's buyout clause
That's a good
for
point.
the loan, why should other teams
Yeah.
honor what they've said that to us that they're going to buy the player for on the loan?
What I'll say is the report that came out today said that Villarreal would pay the full 14 million for Foyth.
Exactly then.
Yeah,
That's
because
strange.
he's
I
playing
do-
great for them.
I do.
He's-
But I saw another report where they're saying the opposite.
Really? Oh,
Exactly, but yeah,
Like 3 days ago.
it's up in the air for sure.
Yeah, it is up in the air. But that's my point. That is that it's not just going to be him.
I don't know what's.
We've
Yeah,
got
it'll
other
be-
players.
It'll be Harry Winks. It'll be Dyer. It'll be everybody. Yeah.
It could be a fire sale going on this summer. If Jose gets his way.
On that. You know what? If Levy's really such a smart businessman, he should take advantage of these clubs that are in financial straits and pick off their good players for cheap, because he knows that they don't have the same pressures that a Premier League club has to compete every season. And I bet we could get a lot of quality players from France and Portugal and not necessarily second-tier leagues, but I guess those are second-tier leagues.
If proper scouting is
Those
there.
clubs from that are just, at risk of going under. I think if he's really a great businessman, we should be able to snag some deals from clubs like Porto and Lille.
Yeah, but being a businessman and being a scout are two different things. And Hitchen's the scout and Levy's the businessman.
Be a scout, though,
But
yeah.
the problem is those two combination, they don't sound like a very strong scouting network.
It's not a strength. You're right.
I know. I mean, like they had a technical director that started at the beginning of the year. They got rid of him, right? The director of football, we don't have one, do we?
No.
Was that Hitchen's role?
We were
no,
supposed
no.
to sign one this
No.
season, but we didn't.
Yeah, we
Right,
don't have
so-
director of football.
So the other thing is, even
Luis
if we
Campos
did-
is available at the moment.
if we want to improve our recruitment, then we have to have, some solid people involved in that section. We currently it's obviously okay. If Levy's happy, then he's not going to want to change anything. If he's happy with Hitchen, that he can work with him, he can control him, he can keep him tempered. Hitchen's not going to come up to him and say, "Listen, man, buy this 17-year-old. He's the best thing since sliced bread," and then keep at him, say, "Go on, you got to buy him. You got to buy him." Hitchen's not that type of bloke.
Yeah. No,
Levy's going to take him. Look, it's in hand. Leave it.
What all I'm saying is that we could, if we want to get, for example, if we want to get like a better Vinicius replacement, I bet we could go to Porto and get Musa Morenga, who's quality, really quality striker, to back up Kane for not a lot of money, because they're in a difficult. I bet we could get him for the same amount of money that Levy wants to, negotiate the Vinny deal down
15
to.
mil?
Yeah, I bet we could go in and get Morenga for 20 mil from Porto. And,
Yeah,
and
but I
That's
mean,
some bad
That's the bargain
let's
then.
let's remember,
But
Carlos
you wanna
Vinicius
buy a player
was
at
a
15 mil.
scorer.
Pull the
it's
trigger
those
then.
deals we got to be looking to make in the summer, where we really exploit these teams, because we got a lot of work to do. We have a lot of players to sell, and we've got a lot of holes to fill. And we're not going to get enough money to do that, so we're going to have to be smart.
Exactly. Can we sell those
Yeah, but
players?
you're
Carlos
right, Dan.
Vinicius was.
Can we
He
sell
was
those
the
players?
one scorer in the Portuguese league. Like he wasn't like some chump.
yeah.
Like he,
Yeah, no, this isn't a nobody. That's what I'm saying. This, like a guy like Musa Morenga would be a boss backing up.
Hold on. Why can't we get Vinny to play in defense?
Why can't we go out? Why couldn't we go out and sign somebody like Ivan Toney?
We could. That's what.
Yeah,
but
Brentford's top
it might
scorer.
even be cheaper to get this guy. Is
That
what I'm
might be
saying.
quality.
It's a club that's
Cheaper this year, but we could have gotten Ivan Toney for like less than 10 million pounds last year, or at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, but I feel like Ivan Toney now he's looking at what Ollie Watkins is doing, going straight to the Premier League, getting England call up. So
Exactly.
now he's thinking.
No,
the
he's
same
going to sign
approach.
for Liverpool this summer. I guarantee you.
Well, he can start over Firmino, so I guess.
Well, and he's the kind of player. If you actually watch how he plays, he's that drop back,
he's
fall back. He reminds me a lot of what Kane's done this season. I mean, he's
But what I'm
Just
saying is,
just like
there's
him.
no way he'll sign for a
there. I
Tottenham.
can guarantee you, half the strikers in the Premier League couldn't score 28 goals and 9 assists in the Championship.
So guys, should we go for Vinny-Goal then?
I'm okay with re-signing him. I think he's got talent.
If the
What
price
about
is right,
others?
listen, if it's at least 15,
Will, Mr. K,
I'm
what
not.
do you think, guys?
I think he's half the player Ivan Toney is, and it really pisses me off that we signed him on a loan deal instead of going out and spending 10 million pounds to buy Ivan Toney.
But Will, were you saying that at the beginning
Yes.
of last year? You were? Okay. Because I had honestly I hadn't even heard of Ivan Toney before this season, so that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, no, I mean he was a golden boot for League One.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah, and he was the biggest. He was like the biggest. Like all the championship sides were like, stabbing each other to try to sign him. And
Yeah,
it was
he's like-
only,
Was
and the
replacement
reason
of
why.
Ollie Watkins, right?
No,
He
listen.
was the replacement of Ollie Watkins, right?
No, Brentford sold Ollie Watkins so they could buy Ivan Toney.
Okay.
Okay.
interesting.
Right.
That's
I
nice
mean-
That's what people aren't catching.
for them.
They sold Watkins to fund the Ivan Toney move.
How much did they buy him for? Do you know any chance how much they bought Ivan Toney?
Like 10 or 12 million pounds or something.
They
Like
sold
that.
Ollie Watkins for like 25, 30, right?
30.
Yeah, 30 mil. Ollie Watkins was linked to us as well. And we went for Mr. Vinny.
And we couldn't afford him apparently then.
I wouldn't have paid
Yeah.
50 million for a backup.
But the real miss was Timothy Castagna, to be honest. The real miss was Timothy Castagna. 20
I think
mil
the
was
real miss
absolute
was
bargain.
Callum Wilson. We almost got Callum Wilson. I think that would
Yeah,
have been
Callum Wilson was
great
as well.
Well, if
backup.
we're going to talk about real misses, it was a defender. It was Ruben Diaz or Skriniar.
Yeah.
That was the miss. Listen,
real miss.
No,
This- he gets a lot-
5.6 million.
Vinicius gets a lot of hate, but he has done the job for us. You couldn't have asked him to do any better than he's done this season. His
aggressions.
he was our leading
He's super.
goal scorer and assister in Europa, and Kane stayed healthy. That's all you
But,
want.
like,
from a backup striker.
just whenever I see him play, like he just doesn't. Whenever he holds off his opponent, he doesn't really have that
Right.
touch.
He's not. He's like a Fernando Llorente. He's not a free striker.
Nah, but
Yeah.
Llorente can hold off his opponents well. I'm telling you, Llorente had
Look,
good.
And his
No.
aerial duels was super.
Strong.
But you want to talk about physical, right? Ivan Toney has 5 yellow cards, 1 yellow reds off, and 1 red card. As a striker, how many strikers do you see get red cards?
Eric
I
Lamela?
mean, Ivan Toney would be amazing. But
Eric
I just-
Lamel's not a striker, though.
Super,
Dan,
super
come on
amazing.
now.
Just trying to.
I'd like to strike him in the face, but he's not a striker.
So what's the price of Ivan Toney now? Will?
Now?
Yes.
Yeah,
No.
We go for this summer.
He's like 35 now.
SofaScore doesn't give him a price right now.
Check transfer market, or I
2025?
I guess he probably goes for 30 million because that's what Watkins went for.
I think he'll go for more than 30 million, to be honest.
So he's in the same situation, right? He's giving Brentford a top 5 finish, and he's scoring 20+ goals in the championship. Maybe he'll go for more. Maybe he'll go for more.
Right now he's at 18 million euro.
The numbers he's putting up is not just like some regular championship numbers. He's
But
absolutely
he's an English
killing.
player too. So I mean transfer market's always low on English players transfer fees.
Yeah.
So I would
He's
say
going for 35,
usually probably
almost
double
40.
that. So it's probably 32 million.
It pissed me off. Again, regarding Jack Grealish, really, man.
Is that happening?
You can write a whole book on the players we almost got. We almost got Bruno
God,
Fernandes
shit.
and Jack Grealish.
League with the players we almost got.
I thought we
Diaz,
got Bruno
Skriniar,
Fernandes and we
Grealish,
got Gedson
Dybala.
Fernandes, man. That was real.
Eden Hazard.
Oh my goodness.
Well, the thing is, if
Honestly,
we
I was
buy
so
my-
Vinny,
excited. We got Bruno Fernandes. Finally, we got Bruno Fernandes, and I saw the news,
the
and
point
it
is,
was Getson
if we buy
Fernandes.
Vinny
Oh
this
my
summer,
god!
if we buy Vinny this summer, when realistically not going to buy another striker for another 3 years then, until Kane goes.
Well, we got Dane Scarlett, hopefully going to make an impact in 3 years.
So I tell you the truth, I love all the talent that's coming through, big them all up. But unfortunately, I've been here long enough, and I've been hearing the same old, every blooming year about this batch of youth players or that batch of youth players. I think I've gone for like maybe 5 different sets of youth players, and every single time it's the same spiel that they're going to break through. That we can, and what happens? We end up selling them.
Well, let me
We
ask
end
you
up.
guys, what youth
We
player are
can't
you?
rely on youths anymore. We got to invest. Even Barcelona has gave up on youths now. They invest.
They
They
got some.
invest. They invest.
They got some brilliant youth players. On my days, they got some youth that in 3 to 5 years are going to take over the world. The thing is, we don't have. I mean, Dane Scarlett, yeah, fair enough. It's like
But
he's
he
been
needs
touted.
time. He's
He's
promising
been
time.
touted, but he's only like 16, 17. He's 17 now. You know, he's
We
still
are
got
already
another 2 years to
expecting him
go.
to be a hurricane.
No, he's not. He's not going to be a hurricane because he's going to take at least 2-3 years before he can get to that maturity of being able to perform week in, week out in the Premier League. I mean, look at John Parrott. I mean, I rated Parrott above Dane in terms of like, can you put him on the pitch? Can he do something? And the idea was that Parrott had more experience. But now, if Parrott is not even mentioned by people anymore.
Well, from what I've read about Parrott is he's kind of a party boy, and that's what's keeping him out of. You
Well,
know,
I mean, I think it has to do
Well, if you
more
play
with
for
the fact
Millwall-
that his loan spells have been absolutely worthless.
Well,
Right?
He's
He
not.
can't even get into if you can't get into a championship side that you're on loan with.
Listen, he's a championship player at best. Let's be honest.
I thought he did all right. I thought he was doing all right in Millwall, wasn't he?
maybe he's not getting in because he just doesn't have the right attitude, and it's a mental thing. But he's got the
Well, then
talent.
you got to sell him.
That's
He's got the talent.
I agree. But
I think that's what Jose likes. I think he likes the attitude of Dane. He likes the work ethic of Dane. And that's one thing I noticed about Dane is that his work ethic is like Kane's. He wants to be the first in and the last out
it's the perfect
in
person
training.
to learn from.
Well, I mean,
No,
that's the
he's
kind of
not-
player you
he's
got to
good.
be. If you want to be a top tier
Just
player, if
to-
you want to be the top 1% of the top 1% of the top 1%, you have to have that. You know, even though
100%.
training's only 3 hours long, you're there for 5, right? Like, I mean, that's got to be your mentality, or you're just not going to make it. You're
Well,
just
Jose
not.
doesn't big up that many youth players the way
No,
that
for
he
sure.
has picked up Dane. He's very conservative with his words, and he's
Yes.
very careful and articulate as well with his words.
Yeah.
I think
So he
like
can't be caught out later.
Varane was one that he kind of bigged up at a young age. Not in that position, obviously, but
I mean, this is another thing which I've got a problem with, is that this narrative that exists that Jose won't play youth players, the
not
facts
true.
don't hold it up. Because statistically, he does bring in youth players in every single club he goes to. He plays them.
Yeah, but
doesn't
these
keep
have to
them.
be like some
and the ones he
He doesn't
brings
keep
in
them, but
end
he
up
plays them.
becoming world-class players too, and that's why I think that you just gotta let him pick who he wants to pick this summer, and Levy needs to, stick his face
No.
up as a-hole and just let.
No, Will, what
Yeah,
I'm trying to say to you is this, is that particular narrative is just narrative. It's not real. It's the media has been propagating it for the last 5 or 6 years with Jose. They've got a love-hate relationship with him. Because Jose is at Spurs, they're going to mention the same thing to him. So what I've noticed is that people need to sometimes check facts before they start to repeat someone else's narrative. And I've started to hear it in the Spurs channels as well, where people are openly saying it as if it's fact that Jose does not give youth a chance. And I think that's that the facts don't hold it up. So why
Well, I
is
think it's
the
because
fan
of the
base
Chelsea
repeating that?
times and like what was. I mean, he let De Bruyne and like Mo Salah go right at Chelsea, so I think that's kind of where that started from.
My point being is that if we've started to repeat a narrative that's not based on facts inside the Spurs banter channels, then that means that the seed of doubt for Jose has already been set,
Oh, of course it has, though. I mean,
right? And the thing, what my main thing here is, it's got nothing to do with his performances or not. It's got to do with the fact that the media don't like him, and for some reason, some of our fan base is quite happy to get scared at anything the media says and just, get their pitchforks out.
Well, I think it's a lot of our fan base just doesn't like him as a person, right?
It's emotional. It's emotional. It's not. It has nothing to do with well, maybe you're right. That is why they don't like him as a person, because everybody's emotional. It's the same reason why I get heat for my dislike of Eric Lamela, not based on anything other than pure statistics and history, right?
But Will,
Yeah,
that
exactly.
Rabona.
Exactly.
With the Rabona, the two Rabonas. Forget the fact that he scored, less goals.
Will, in 20 years,
That's the
in 20
thing.
years, no one's going to care about the facts. They're just going to care about that one goal.
That's so
Yeah,
stupid.
you know what, Will? You're going to be eating your words when he scores his third.
Rabona goal against Arsenal.
That's
you
it,
hear
man.
reports that he's going to get
I
an
sorry,
want
but-
him to be a good player. That's what upsets me too. Is because I'm slagging him off now. People think that it makes me like I don't want him to do well or something like that. No, I want him to score 15, 20 goals a season. The problem is he can't. He can't even score 2.
Is that our first red card?
He gets injured every time.
His first red card ever. Yeah, actually.
No, I mean,
No,
as a
I'm
team,
surprised when I
is that
see
our
that.
first red card?
This
So which
season.
one?
No.
I don't remember anyone else.
No, I think Sissoko's given away a red card this season. Aurier's given a red card this season.
Oh, my days.
Uh,
The usual suspects. Actually, no, Lo Celso. Red card. We must have done something naughty. Must have jumped in.
Yeah,
Lo
but
Celso's one of those guys in our squad that's an absolute gem waiting to come out. Honest to God.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I
but
feel
he
him
needs
the
to
same
hurry
way, to be
up
honest. I
and-
really feel in that way as well.
I
I
think
Otherwise,
there's
I say we sell
something
him.
beautiful coming, to be honest.
But this video needs more likes. So all you guys in the chat, there's like 38 of you. You need to hit the like button on this.
Yeah, likes Will channel.
Yeah, like
Hit that like
but
on
like-
that. Help us out a little bit.
Please,
here.
guys.
yes, I understand that. Yeah, like you were talking about Giovanni Lo Celso, and he does have crazy potential. But
People start
do
to
you think this
criticize
is
him
a
as
good
well.
time to sort of cash in on Lo Celso?
I agree, Brandon.
You lost. I don't ever want to hear about the report again.
Sorry, Brendan. We're just taking jokes, man. It's only because it's Will's channel. Otherwise, I wouldn't mention.
Yeah,
his
they're
name.
taking the mick on me because I'm anti Lamella.
Well, we've got Brian with Levy. We've got you with Lamella. We've got David with Winks. There's a collection going on here.
And we got Marcelo with Jose now.
Oh dear, that's true.
Jose
No,
out
but
every
never-
time, Marcelo.
Never getting his crosshairs. He's one of
Oh,
those.
but man, it goes
I hate
on
you for
about
life.
it. Marcel, I hope you watch this later, dude. But dude, man, bro.
No, he's proper like, I'm gonna spit on your grave. I hate you for life now.
And Mr. K with whom? Mr. K with whom?
With Jose. I think once you cross paths with Marcelo, that's it. That's it. He ain't never gonna let you go. If you let him down, because I think that's what's happened. Is basically, I think Marcelo sniffed that Jose might just be thinking for himself.
Yeah,
And Marcelo recognizes like the type of crap that comes out of people's mouths sometimes, and the way Jose speaks sometimes, he's very careful and very orchestrated in the way he gives answers. He never like he turns around and says, "My team lost," but he doesn't turn around to everyone and say, "Listen, look, it's my fault. I'm sorry."
Oh,
he never takes blame. He never takes.
He never says
takes
sorry.
blame.
He's an expert at that. And
Yeah, exactly. So
I really like Jose, but it's getting harder and harder to defend him, especially with these Kobe
I'm agnostic on the whole Jose thing, right? Like if he goes, he goes. If he stays, he stays. Because I don't think it makes a difference. But when he came out and lied about Toby, it made it really hard to justify.
Bad look, man. That was a really bad look.
It's just stupid comment, stupid remark. I don't know why you would do that in the first place, but
I think it's made a lot of.
Not know you're.
I mean, I saw this last interview, and they asked him a straightforward question. Yes, every time they ask him to say yes, he always says no. Every time they ask him to say no, he always says yes. I watched his interviews. Look, at the end of the day, it's a skill and a craft that when you're being interviewed, you have to be a bit savvy about the way you say things. He's got so many fines for saying things from the FA. I mean, I don't think there's anyone that's got more fines than him apart from maybe Sam. No, definitely he's the number one.
Has
He's
to be
got
Jose
more.
Mourinho, yeah.
And I think that type of cautiousness also with the media as well, with the journalists, he doesn't like to be. He gets a sense and a feeling that he's being railroaded down a particular path. So he gets quite aggressive sometimes with that.
Yeah.
So Brandon's joined us because he can't take any more of it. He had to,
Hi, Brandon.
he had to jump in there and say his piece.
You're absolutely correct. I couldn't take it.
Go on, Brandon.
I can't take the slander. How are you gonna go? How are you gonna go from in one hand? Man, I can't use this Bluetooth. I'm turning this off.
Just use your phone. That's all right.
I can't use this Bluetooth. I'm turning this off. There's a big delay for me.
Just use your phone. That's all right. Yeah,
But
you sound a lot better now, actually.
Understand is how on one hand you could say there is a bias. There's a big delay for me.
You still got the iPad video or the YouTube, the original YouTube video open?
Well,
Just come back in with your phone, Brandon, and turn and mute the volume on the previous video. There we go.
There we go.
Be good now.
I was saying I don't understand how on one hand you can say that there's a bias with the narrative about not bringing through young players, because there's clearly evidence that he does bring through young players when it's the right time. Now he doesn't force them in because he says that's how you ruin them. You put too much responsibility on them. He used to talk about that over at Manchester United. Like you need to be able to have other mature players to bring these players along with. And then you say he never takes responsibility. He has spent the whole first half of the season taking responsibility. Even that quote you just said where he says it's my players, but he never says it's my fault. He was quite specific when he said my team. I say my team because it is me included. I am responsible as well. Like he literally said that verbatim in that sentence.
Brandon,
So
wait. It's one thing to turn around and say it's my team
as well. And he spent the whole first half of the season really protecting the players, protecting the defense when they made mistakes. He covered for them. He said, but at a certain point, you have to start to talk about it like it is. Now, I do think that his comments after the game, and he has also said, look, talking to people after the matches is difficult for managers, particularly after you lose. He said this. He went a whole thing about it because it is a time when your emotions are in a state, and I think that over time I have matured and I've become more in control. But it is a difficult time, and I don't like to answer certain questions at that time. But obviously, this is the nature of the business, and so he said some things in certain ways that I did think were true. But I thought they were going to play right into kind of the idea that people have about him and that he is thinking about himself over the team. But I don't think that the narrative, I don't think the evidence over the course of the season supports that in any way, shape, or form.
No, and I agree with you. And for me, I'll go first. And for me, the biggest part for me was I've always been like a Jose agnostic to the point where I'm fine if he stays and I'm happy if he does, but also too, if someone comes in, I think we're going to have the same results simply for the fact of the quality of the players that we have, right? So I think it's an absolute waste of time and money to sack Jose and hire someone else.
And if that's the case, is he not allowed to ever make any honest remarks about the qualities?
No, and actually, in his two comments that he made on the weekend after the Newcastle felt like a loss, but it was actually a draw. I keep forgetting that it was a draw. I call it a loss. I think it was a loss myself. But I was okay with his comments about the players, right? Even the comment of saying, same coach, different players, because that's a true statement. He is the same coach and they are different players, right? I mean, he's just saying that isn't necessarily slagging the players off, but when Bob Sport TV comes to me and says, well, how can you support a liar who said Toby wasn't at training on Thursday and he was, and then there's no evidence for me to either confirm nor deny that, it kind of makes me go, right? Like I don't have an answer. You know what I mean? And it's like for me, from my point of view, if he really was at practice on Thursday, I wouldn't say that he wasn't. You know what I mean? I would just simply come out and say, I don't want to play him, and so he's not playing. That's what I would say.
To your point, I have no idea what the Toby situation was, and he tried to kind of just avoid the question initially, and then he run into this thing, and then it turns out that I guess it's questionable whether or not it's true. And I very much wanted to hear, it addressed in this press conference, and I do understand the answer that he gave, but I think for me, for one thing, I do think, and I think the documentary illuminated it for me. It's part of why this season is kind of so anxiety inducing sometimes, is that we as people out here, fans, we know a very small percentage of what's actually
1%
back then. Like we don't know why whatever he said or what conversation he had with Toby after. I don't know. And so in my tendency is not to lean into the worst possible scenario just because that energy is not good for the squad. I'm trying to win a match, man. I'm trying to go.
David. I'm with you on that, Brandon.
Yeah, no, and for me, I debate.
The problem I've got is that it's been 3/4 of a season. The season's got like 8 games, 9 games left to play. And throughout the season, we've had some good games. 6-1 Man U. Come on, good games. We've been top of the table for not just 2 minutes, but for some time. We're 2 points away if we win our next game from top 4. We're in the final for the League Cup. But there's been some games where we didn't just lose; we got humiliated, and the players felt it. But when they came in front of the press conferences, not a single one of them have said, we want to apologize for our performance today. Not once has the manager turned around and said, "Listen, I'm sorry. We played like shit." Like, let's say sorry to the fans, because we're hurting. I know they're the players, they were on the pitch, and they're probably hurting in their own personal way. But we're fans, and it's like the type of hurt that we got. We didn't even get a simple apology from anybody.
But
that's what I'm referring to.
I think a lot of times at the end of these matches, because that's another thing when after we have post-match conversations and we see where the criticisms lie, and I'm like, it would be one thing if after some of these poor matches or after we're dropping points, in the last 10 minutes of games, if Jose came out and said that we were great. He's always like, even if sometimes we win, like poor performance. And he talks about the fans and he talks about what he wants to do, wants to come out, and what they're working on, and that is an evolution. I think he acknowledges when it's a disappointment, and he's sorry for that. We didn't. It's okay if you lose, but if you just don't show up, it's not good for the fans. It's not good.
But Brendan, he uses the word like sad. I mean, for crying out loud, he knows enough English words, right? Yeah, to be able to come out with a decent sentence. But he's playing on the fact that English is a second language to him, and he's using words like it's worse than sad. And I'm thinking, what are you talking about, geezer? You played like crap. Just say it. Just say, I'm sorry. The performance wasn't good enough. We apologize to the fans. Not once throughout the whole season. Like, he's talking away. I'm not against Jose.
To the fans, but I do feel like I've heard him acknowledge when we've shown up and when we haven't shown up, and that's a disappointment, and that is a disappointment for the fans and the club. And there's a certain way we have to be as professionals and how we have to show up for the shirt.
No, he totally has, and you're right, Brandon. I think people will, with Jose, they hear what they want to hear with him, because it's like the Gareth Bale thing. If you read the quotes, it sounds a lot worse than if you watch the video. And I think people are the same with Jose, because a lot of fans have an agenda out against him. But
no. It's not even that so much that it's really this is a hangover from the whole Manchester United thing, right?
Well, that's part
because as soon as something goes wrong, as soon as he says one, he's never come out and called out a single player from our squad like he called out Paul Pogba at Manchester United.
So much
not one. Not in the same way. But if he says anything,
and he was right about Paul Pogba.
Yeah.
And if he says anything halfway in that direction, the press is automatically, boom, Dele Alli's a new Paul Pogba. Boom, this guy's a new Paul Pogba. That guy's a new Paul Pogba. They're waiting for it to snatch onto it. And that's why I said, and now granted, I'm not a Trump fan myself, but I'm saying Jose Mourinho is the Donald Trump of football, because the press in America, same thing.
Mhm.
Even if Donald Trump
an
is Donald Trump as Donald Trump is, right? If he said one thing, they were waiting for it to twist it and rip it and throw it into a completely different realm. That it wasn't like, it was like the whole thing about injecting yourself with bleach. He wasn't trying to say that. No sane person thinks like, let's inject ourselves with bleach, right?
I don't think that was the best example for you to use, Will. Because
no, I'm saying because his whole point, and that Trump's whole point. Well, I'm not a Trump fan. I never voted for the guy. But what I'm saying is that his point was not to inject yourself with actual bleach. It was just saying, if maybe there's some kind of new thing that we could develop that would be as effective as using bleach on countertops. That was his point, right? Everybody knew that was his point, but people, because he was Donald Trump, wanted to take that and wrap it around and twist it and throw it around. And, you know, then the headlines the next day, Trump says inject yourself with Clorox to clear COVID, right? I mean, that was totally not what he was saying.
Let me bring it back to Jose real quick. I think you're right, Will, because people are waiting to just pounce on whatever he has to say. But I think in the last week, it's, even from a neutral perspective, it's been noticeably worse. The Toby situation is bad, and I actually disagree with you on the comment. The same coach, different players comment. That's not helping anyone at all. If you go into the locker room and your coach is saying that is only dividing people more. I don't think that's doing anything for the fan base. It's not doing anything for him. It's not doing anything for his players to motivate them. It's just making things worse.
It was a true statement.
Dan, that's what I'm trying to say. Is that
You're correct.
Who does that help to say it? Like, you can.
It doesn't help anybody.
You can
but guys,
Davison Sanchez and say you're a shit defender, and it's true, but it does not help him play football.
But guys, look at Moyes, for example, at West Ham, right? Yeah. If that team played in a terrible performance, right? Yeah, he would address the fans and say and apologize to the fans, and then it'd be done. But the main reason why I mention this is because if you don't have a culture within the club that acknowledges this to the fans and say we're playing for the shirt. When they say they're playing for the shirt, they're saying we're playing for the fans. That's what the shirt means. But if they don't make that connection, if they don't apologize to that, then they're not, you know, they're not learning from it. They're not growing from it. You know, it takes a man to stand up and say I'm sorry.
Well, I think that
these boys
are right about that, and I think that
when you watch them on the pitch, they don't act like men.
Boards, right?
Yeah. So I think there's a certain backbone that's missing in our club, and I think Jose's been like clever enough to realize this after the first 3 months he was there, or 6 months he was there. He realized I have to change my tact. I have to be nicer. I have to use them in a different way. If I try to do this to the players, then expect me to get sacked. Like
no, I think he's got old Jose's fighting new Jose, or the Jose he wants to be, is what I think it is. And I think he's got internal conflict, right?
Do you think that him sort of backing off his Chelsea personality is good for him or us? Because I think the jury's still out on whether the softer Jose is actually.
No, I don't think the softer Jose is good.
Well, but here's the thing, and you got to understand this: the softer Jose is partially about having an appreciation for the environment he's coming into, partially, and the resources that are available to him, but also recognizing something that he said. You know, Jose, people don't like to give Jose time. They don't like to give Jose time, and time is what you need to develop those things. And so, you know, I think those are the issues.
No, I agree. I don't disagree with that. But what I'm saying, my point is that I think that because he's trying to be somebody who he's not really here, that he's kind of sticking his foot in his mouth sometimes.
But I think what I think is that for the first half or the 3/4 of the season, he has tried to put his arm around the players, protect the players, certainly protect the defense and how he structured the team. That's why our defense has managed to be as good as it has been. Despite the quality of our players, he has tried to give people, even when they mistake, I'm sticking with you. He gave Dyer a run of games. But at a certain point, Bart kept making these mistakes. So then he brought Sanchez back in because Sanchez was making terrible mistakes in the beginning. But so he brought Sanchez back in, and Sanchez was all right sometimes, and then he would make calamitous mistakes again. I don't know what's going on with Toby, but then at a certain point, you know, he starts to be like, I've done this, I've done that, I put my arm around, and then you show up to Arsenal like that, then you show up to Dynamo Zagreb like that. He's like, what am I? If I chose poor teams, or like he says, if I choose, it was not attacking enough. If I'm setting them up really poorly, but he's also like, at a certain point, there's very little I should be able to do for us not to beat Dynamo Zagreb.
We could have put 11 behind the ball and beat them.
It's just like, you know, and he's like, and you can't, at a certain point, how am I trying to convince you to show up for a North London derby? Just to work hard. And we know it's about work rate because there are usually one or two people on the pitch who are just making everybody look like they're standing still. And it's usually Lucas Moura or Lamella or maybe Pierre. Like but everybody else looks like they're and Kane.
And for me, that's why I'm agnostic on it, is because I don't care. Right? I think that I don't place a high value on managers having to motivate professional athletes. Right? I don't think that's I think what a manager's job to do at this level. You know, we're not talking about youth soccer here. We're not talking about someone has to get up and get people to get motivated, stop picking flowers on the field and do whatever. They got to do. These guys are professionals, right? If you look at managers for other professional sports, and maybe this is an American perspective because we look at managers from America here, it's about somebody who has vision for things that are happening on field at the time of the game. And the problem with the difference between American sports and English football is that they don't have a whole lot of time to communicate other than screaming from the sideline. But it's down. As soon as that whistle blows, it's all up to the players. What happens from the first minute to the 45th minute is on the players, and what happens from the 45th minute to the 90th minute is on the players. Jose has no control other than what subs he makes.
What, 12 to 15 points in the last 5 to 10 minutes of matches? Man, that's on y'all. How are y'all? That's on y'all.
No, I don't. To be honest,
Substitutes, I will hold Jose
really,
accountable on his substitutes, the timing of his substitutes, and stuff like that. That's what I'll hold Jose accountable for, and I have. I've done that in public.
You know, Pep was a bit hit and miss with subs as well.
And the substitution he has made.
And timing, sometimes it's way too late. Like some people on with 3 minutes to go. Like, what's the point?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Poch didn't used to do that.
Pochettino used to do that too, and it used to infuriate me.
Thanks for having me on tonight, guys.
Yep, thanks, Mr. K. Actually, we only have 13 minutes left in the show anyway, so thanks for coming on.
I got to make a move now, unfortunately. Otherwise, I won't have a bed to sleep in.
That sounds good.
Thank you for coming, Mr. K. Bye-bye.
Come on, you Spurs.
Let's go.
Get a smashing game today.
What's the prediction, Mr. K? What's your prediction?
Personally, I think the way the team has been gone, it's impossible for anyone to even think about making predictions. But my personal belief is that we're going to smash Man United 4-1. Whatever the reality is, I don't know. But personally, I think a team like Man United. Sorry?
Positive energy. I like that.
Yeah, honestly, I look at our team and I think to myself, if we're playing properly, we can smack 4 goals past any team.
Exactly.
If we're playing properly.
But when that forms come, I don't know.
The goals. We have plenty of people that can score goals. It's just, do they have enough support from the midfield and the defense? Look at Kane, for example. The guy's having to run from the front to the goal line to defend a header and then run to the front to score a goal. I mean, that's just crazy.
Help me to understand that, because Kane is the talisman of this team. He is the most important. He is the leader. Apparently, they follow everything. This cat is clearly backing Jose, and this dude works so hard, and he's everywhere. How is he not dragging the rest of these cats along with him? I don't understand that.
I don't think Harry Kane really is a leader.
Brendan, you remember that documentary last year on Amazon? Right? They were sitting together and they were watching a video review of a game that they lost or whatever it was. And Kane was sitting there. He was looking pissed as anything. And he turned around he turned around and said, like, this is not good enough. Right? Now, 2 episodes before that, Rose said the same thing. Right? And the Spurs fan base came out and said Rose threw the team under the bus. And then when Kane said it 2 episodes later, the fans base came out and said Kane is brave. Right? So there's a level of hypocrisy that's not only in the fan base but also in the club itself. And I think that any player that goes in initially after 6 months, they're going to start to see these divisions inside the club. They're going to start to see these frailties. They're going to start to see these funny games being played by millionaires. Because let's face it, these boys are millionaires now, right? You know, it's like they're making more money than I mean, a lot of the people involved in football today, they weren't involved in the present time to make money. They were involved in the previous time where they made peanuts. So these young people that are there, like Winks, for example, like we might slag him off, but the guy's worth 35, 40 million.
Yeah, but don't
Seriously?
you want to play? You better get your ass in here.
I mean, Marcus Edwards, right, had to go to Germany, and we're looking for a right winger. You know, this guy's amazing, and we sold him. And what's happened with the German leagues where they're taking our youth and they're making them better, and they're making us look stupid for letting them go. You know, Man United's guilty of that with Sancho, but we're also guilty of it with Marcus Edwards. You know, we're still saying, oh, we got a problem with the right wing. Well, there you go. We had a player. We can still buy him back because we get 50% of his profits. You know, there's a player you can spend money on and get half the money back. And that fills the right-hand court. That fills the right, you know, he's fast, he's technical, he knows Tottenham, he knows the Premier League, he knows how to fight against Arsenal and West Ham when it comes to it. You know, there's a fully grown player that came through our academies that we could buy back, but nobody mentions his name anymore. It's a bit of a shame. But the point is this, is that our recruitment policy recruits people and then whispers into their ear that there's something when they're not. So when a manager comes along and says, you ain't training hard enough, he thinks, hold on a second, that's not what I've been told. I'm told I'm the best thing since sliced bread. There must be a problem with you, the guy that's won 22 trophies, you know? And I think that type of arrogance is what's caused the leak in the first place, caused the media problems in the background, and it's also caused probably what Delhi's going through. Come on, let's face it, we love Delhi, but his attitude's got to suck if you can't play under Jose. Of all the managers in the world to come to your club, Delhi must have thought, you know, Christmas has come early, but he didn't think like that. Toby did. Toby was desperate to play under Jose. So I think this thing about the mole and Toby and Jose, I think that's tragic. Because you remember in the documentary last year, you know, he was saying, I would love to play for this manager. You know, that's the attitude you want for someone to recognize this man's got 22 trophies. You don't double guess him. You don't turn around after 6 weeks and think, oh, well, you know, I'm not training as hard as I did when I was under Poch. Let's face it, Poch made everyone train like you would not believe. Right? So that intensity of training, Jose's not put that on our players.
He can't. Not right now.
But it can't be sustained. They're burnt out by the end of the year.
Yeah, the schedule, like you weren't going to do anything.
So this is one of the leaks that came out was the training. It's like, hold on a second, this guy's a world-renowned manager. How on earth can you turn around and say his training methodologies are out of date? Who the heck are you? So it's like, what players do we have in our team that are like being everywhere? Bale, he's either leak. I mean, but what I'm saying is these type of things, they fuel the narrative that there is an ungrateful batch of boys inside our team. I don't necessarily believe all the narratives, but I do know that at the end of the day, they got Poch sacked for a simple reason of not putting it on the field, not leaving it on the field. The number one thing every top manager says to all their players is, I want you to go out there and I don't want you to come back until you've given everything. That's all you got to do. Look at Son, for example. Poch was so hard on him. He said, no, I want more from you. I want you to keep running until you fall off on the floor exhausted. And now look at Son. He runs and runs and runs and runs and runs all the time until the last second. And do we get that from the other players? No, we don't. I mean, what the heck, man? They're meant to be athletes.
Reese got into there.
You know. Anyway, guys, listen, I gotta go. Thanks for hearing me out.
Yeah, you said that 10 minutes ago, Mr. K, but thank you for saying that.
Mrs. ain't happy, man. She asked me to come to bed 3 hours ago.
Better go.
Anyway,
Yeah, better
guys.
go make it right. Better go make it
Hope
right.
you have
All
a
right.
great. I hope you have a great one. Take care. Bye.
Yep, we'll see you tomorrow night
Okay, all right, take care.
or today night, whatever it is. All right, so guys, we got 6 minutes left on the show. I want to go around and get everybody's score prediction for the match and their final thoughts. So we'll start from, we went to the top down, so this way we'll go the other way. So Brandon, what are your score predictions and your final thoughts?
You know, there's again, there's no telling what kind of energy we're going to show up with, but I think it's going to be a closer match than that last one. I agree that with, you know, Jose and et al. That it was probably, that was an anomaly. As we've talked about that 6-1 victory all year, I've always been like, how come nobody mentions that we were up a man for like 60% of the game? But I think, you know, I'm going with a 2-1 victory to Tottenham. That's what I'm going for. That goal will probably be a penalty. But I'm thinking 2-1. That, you know, if we show up, we'll do it. If we show up, we can do it. So I want us to just show up, man.
And Dan, what's your score prediction?
My head says 1-1. My heart says 2-1. So, you know, I got to go with the Spurs win 2-1.
Go with your heart.
You know
Go
what?
with your heart.
I've got a sneaking feeling that Toby's not going to play, but he better. That's all I got to say on that.
I think we'll find out a lot tomorrow. But
I
as soon
think
as
we
that
will.
team selection comes out, we'll find out a lot.
Yeah,
Jose moving towards Toby this whole season has been inexplicable to me. I haven't understood.
That's been my biggest criticism of him all season, is he hasn't started Toby in a lot of big games, and it's been inexplicable is the perfect word.
And Abdul, what's your score prediction?
I'm gonna say either 1-1, most likely probably 0-0. I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is gonna stink it out, just play defensive, and Jose Mourinho is not a type of manager where I don't really believe in his attacking philosophy. I don't think he really has that ability to break down a strong defensive backline like United. You know, United have Wan-Bissaka, so Heung-Min-Son's going to have a pretty tough time, I do think, if they do play defensive. So probably 0-0, honestly. I can really see them just stinking it out. And personally, what I'm looking for is I really want to see Ndombele playing at the 10. Honestly, I'm kind of tired of him playing as that box to box. He plays it because he can do it the best in our squad. But I do think that him playing as a number 10 is just he's just so unpredictable on the ball, and he can just cause so much problems. So personally, I want to see like a Lo Celso playing as a box to box, or even like a Harry Winks, honestly. But like I really want to see Ndombele at the 10. I think it's been a while since he's been there at the 10, and I think it's time to put him back there. So yeah, like what I'm saying, 0-0. Hopefully Joe Rodon, Toby Alderweireld at the back. Yeah, man, 0-0. But if we do get the win, I'm probably gonna say 2-1. 2-1 if we get the win. Yeah.
2-1 if we get the 1. 0-0 is what your mind says. So Sean, what's your goal prediction, your score prediction for the match? You still with us, Sean?
He's muted right now.
Yeah, he's muted now. Just waiting for him to unmute himself. Shashank, you there? 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. I'm gonna pull you out.
12-0 Spurs.
12-0 Spurs. Yeah. For me, I say 3-1. 3-1's been my prediction all week. I think 3-1. I think this is the game that Son's gonna turn it on. And I think you're gonna see Son with 2 and Kane with 1. And there may be more goals. I'm willing to concede that we may concede more goals than that, but I think that from the attacking side of things, 3-1.
Did you all give your lineup earlier? You must have.
Yeah, so my lineup for me is right back at Aurier, Toby Rodon, Reguilon, Ndombele, Højbjerg, Musa Sissoko, Son, Kane, Bale.
Sissoko getting the start.
Sissoko?
No, not
yeah,
Sissoko. Did I say Sissoko? I meant Mora in the number 10 spot.
Oh, more. Yeah.
Okay.
Not Sissoko.
Yeah. And you said Bale on the right.
Bale on the right. That's what I'm going for.
Okay. Yeah, it's not bad.
Because I'm not about politics.
The one, if the Bale on the right is the one. If Aurier or Tanganga are there, he should be okay.
I could see Stevie B getting the start.
I could too. I could very much see Stevie B getting the start.
Yeah, especially if they've got Rashford playing. I know Rashford played midweek and didn't look so great and had some injury concerns, but if him and Shaw are on our right flank, I could see us playing Stevie B.
But you have to remember that Man United hasn't been this massive attacking force this second half of the season. They've been squeaking out draws and wins.
Yeah, I mean, Newcastle hasn't been a massive attacking force, but they put 2 past us.
And they put 22 shots on us. My God.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone's attacking.
And we still drew that match.
Well, hey, you the 3 goals, so maybe you'll be right there.
Yeah, I hope I'm right. But
yeah, I hope you are too.
I think it's in there. I think it's going to be a goal fest tomorrow.
He's been really sloppy since he got back from injury. He needs to get his head together.
Yeah, Reguilon is not the same, man. He's defensively, he's been awful.
Too has been just as bad since coming back from injury.
Well, Lucelso hasn't had as much time. Reguilon's had a couple of games.
Really only had 2 starts since his
injury. I think they had 2 starts. I think they've both started 2 games since coming back from injury.
Yeah, but
Lucelso's only started 1.
Granted,
Reguilon's started 2.
Reguilon's worst game in a Spurs shirt was Newcastle by a mile, but I don't think Lo Celso's looked sharp at all.
Well, and I think that Reguilon, in his first game back from his actual injury, he got his foot stomped on pretty good.
Right.
And I don't think that he was 100% going into the Newcastle match, to be honest with you.
From Lo Celso's credit, I don't think Lo Celso's been played in position in one of his natural positions since he's been back. I feel like he was.
Yeah, we've been playing some weird 4-2-2-2-2 thing.
Yeah,
but what is Lo Celso's
Dan 4-1-1-1-1-1-1-1-1.
Holding next to Højbjerg or in that 10. Those are his best positions.
Yeah, but like
8 or 10.
Back in the what Spanish team did you come with? Celta Vigo, was it? No.
Real
Betis.
Yeah, Real Betis. He was playing a lot as a number 10 and a right mid too for his national team Argentina. He plays as a right mid or a left mid and like in a 4-4-2. He's very versatile. My thing is, what is his best position? Because he's one of those players where.
I think people are looking at him as an Ericsson replacement, right? So
I don't think he's got the passing, the long range passing to do that. He's a good
people
passer.
need to understand that
more
like Ericsson could
field at 10 position. I think that's where he is, particularly when he gets fitness together.
I think people need to understand that, like the Ericsson.
I think we need to sell him, to be honest with you.
Really?
Hey, if you get $43 million, I wouldn't be totally opposed to that either.
Because he's injury prone? Because I think the cat balls. But if you can keep him on the pitch,
he can ball. But what I'm saying is he can pull up money too, and I think that we could move Ndombele up into that number 10 spot and get a better number 8. Is what my point is.
Or Ollie Skip could play that number 8.
But to your point about that, yes, okay. So Ollie Skip, but I guess for right now, Abdul, you were talking about wanting to see Tanya in that number 10, and whilst he is great in that number 10. As a whole, I think we're stronger if he's in the 8 because we get more use out of like Mora is great in the 10. But if you put Tanya in the 10, where you put Mora to get as much value for you, the balance starts to be it's like, okay, well, where are we? And I think you still get the unlocking ability of Tanguy in the 8 and his vision, and you've got the dribbling of Mora in the middle, which we've seen be so effective in the last couple of weeks. And I think that you said if Manchester United is going to sit back, that's gonna help us break that down.
I actually think Tanguy's better in that deep line play role because he needs to play in tight spaces. That's where he's world class. Is when he's got no time and he's got 3 men surrounding him, that's when he's gonna unlock the defense. And
That's
that's
a training video from YouTube.
as much when he's
Yeah, but then
because he's
don't
against center backs instead of midfielders, where he can just spin through. I mean, if you watch like the Liverpool game, I think it's a perfect example. That second one where we were totally useless, and in Ndombele, every time he got the ball, he was just absolutely destroying James Milner.
He's also usually our only link between the defense and the attack, because without him, they're trying to
Lo Celso can do that.
But I feel like
he doesn't drop back as well as in Ndombele, who can pick up the ball and then from there he can beat a man running, he can beat a man passing, he can beat a man dribbling. Versus Lo Celso, he's a lot better when he's moving forward, whether that's a run, whether that's a pass. He needs to be in motion for him to be better
defensive cover though than Tanguy is. You remember the earlier part of the season, that's where he was when Tanguy was playing up at the 10.
You see how great he was when he was playing at the 10, and I feel like
putting that work in defensively and recovering the ball back.
Yes, I do understand.
For sure.
Tanguy is one of our best box to box. He has everything in it. He can dribble past 3 players, but I just feel like we create so many more chances whenever you just get a player like a Lo Celso, get the ball over to Ndombele in that last third, and he can just do something that no one else can see. Like the goal we scored against Newcastle, our second goal, right? Where Ndombele was dribbling to the left, and just popped it over to Harry Kane on the right.
Yeah.
Nobody really seen that pass, and I don't know if Lo Celso would have done
One time we played Lo Celso in the 8 and Tanguy in the 10. We might have done it twice, but I remember that first time we did it, we were all clamoring for it, and it was one of the worst. Like it was terrible.
That was
matches like it was brutal. I was like, oh god.
Yeah.
Their fitness levels are different now, so it's probably a very different prospect now. But
and also,
but I'm not saying that Ndombele is a replacement for Eriksen. That's what I'm saying. He's 2 completely different type of players. And
you're not going to find an Eriksen replacement. Like that kind of player you won't find.
Well, I think, and from what I've seen from across the league,
do that.
I think that number 10's dead in the Premier League.
It's okay not to have a number 10. Like you're not
distribution role, where you're just spraying balls out from the midfield. I think
I'm talking about a luxury player who's simply creative and adds nothing to defense. That position's gone in the Premier League now.
Yeah, that's Well, that was like Dele Alli.
It's Dele Alli, it's Eriksen, it's Mesut Ozil, it's a bunch of people, right? If Kevin De Bruyne is the ideal number 10 now in the Premier League, and it's someone who not only helps out on defense but also has that creative ability. And if you're just going to be a player that sits there and doesn't contribute to the entire aspect of the 90 minutes, then coaches aren't looking for you. You're not going to play.
Like that Bruno Fernandes is the perfect number 10, the perfect modern.
Fernandes, De Bruyne.
Yeah, you're not going to find those kind of players anymore. At this point, we should just play like a 4-3-3 and just like. Sorry?
I mean, 4-2-3-1's fine as long as you're playing 2 CMs versus.
Yeah, but that number 10 is just like Lucas Moura is not a number 10. I don't want people to fall in love with this.
Yeah, I think he is. I think he's a much better number 10 than he is a winger, because when he
think modern number 10,
he's so
great. I don't care whether he is or not. He's been fantastic. He's been more effective in that role than most of our players in the role.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Brandon. And I don't think that he's like if I were to go out and make the signing of the century, would I sign Luke? Are we going to be able to go out and sell Lucas Moura as a number 10 for 50 to 60 to 80 million pounds? No, right? That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that in the modern game, what it is, it's a high press, right? Energetic, a lot of work, ton of work. It's almost like a number 10 now is the new number 8, whereas old school number 8's in a 4-4-2 where it had to be box to 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 box, right? It's just a ton of work, right? Because there was only 2 midfielders there outside of the wingers, right? It was both of them up and down the pitch, putting in equal defensive work as they were offensively. Well, nowadays it's that number 10 who has to almost be like that box to box midfielder where the outside, you have those 2 holding mids that just kind of sit deep, right? They don't have to really get up into the attack because you have the fullbacks that are wrapping around. it's almost like they've kind of switched roles between the fullbacks and the two people that hold in that pivot. But it's that number 10 now that has to get up and get down, because you still wanted to be able to defend in a 4-5-1, right? That's the defensive side of a 4-2-3-1. So, if you're not willing to do that, then there's no room for you. And that's why, Ozil got, and Eriksen, for much as I love him in the majority of his career with us, we've got to admit, if you don't admit the fact that he couldn't clear one man in a one-man wall in the last year and a half that he played for Spurs, you're just being dishonest, in my opinion. Right? And the game has changed. The game is morphing. There are some aspects in certain leagues where that number 10, that classic number 10 role, each individual league is different. They all run through their own cycles. The style of play changes from here to there, right? And that's why I think that you have, people like Coutinho who have struggled, Eriksen who have struggled, Ozil who have struggled, world-class players that can't find a spot because the game has just moved away from them. And I think the Ndombele is better in that because he's already playing as a number 8 now. So why can't he play as a number 10 and be a box-to-box? And why can't we have someone else like Skip? Or in my world, what I regret is, like Weston McKennie, right? To where you're playing, I want to see us play like a 4-4-2 diamond where you have one holding mid who kind of stays is almost a center back who drops in between the center backs. And then you have 2 CMs who are box to box, then 3 across and 2 up top. That's what I want to see, right? So,
wait, how would that formation? Wait,
so a 4-1, and then you have the 2 CMs,
CMs,
and then you have 1. So it would be like the outside winger. So it'd be Aurier, Toby Rodon, Reguilon, 1 Højbjerg.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a 4-1-3-2. So then you'd have like a number 10, which would be like an Ndombele, and then you'd have like a Lo Celso and his son. And then you'd have like a Vinicius, or in my dream view, it'd be a Dybala and a Kane sitting up top.
Okay, so like the Aston Villa, when we played against Aston Villa. Similar.
Yes, similar to that. But so like Dybala would play as like a false 9.
More width though, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I just feel like you're gonna suffer on the width. Like you're gonna get killed on the wides area.
No, because the fullbacks are overlapping
on the wings. You've got Son and Lascelles.
The issue becomes just the strength of the midfielders. That's
yeah. And so what happens is in attack, you're almost like it's almost like you're playing a 3-5-2 because Højbjerg drops in between. So like if you think of the center circle being the pace, the 2 center backs sit just behind the half line inside the center circle, and Højbjerg sits on the other side of the half line in that half space in between them, right? And then you get width there. The fullbacks are attacking around the outside. You got 3 midfield and 2 attackers as well, and so you're really kind of spreading that deep. And then defensively, you're defending as a 4-4-2.
Yeah, I just feel like we have too much. Like the one thing I kind of blame Jose Mourinho for is just his lack of how is he not getting the best of Ndombele and Lo Celso? Like, why is it that?
Well, I mean, Celso's only been back for 2 weeks. So
no, but like even before he was back, because like he got injured in the Leicester game where he was playing as like a right mid in a 4-2-3-1, and he had a terrible game there. He ran his hamstrings out, but I was like, why can't you get the best out of Ndombele and Lo Celso? Do you think a more?
I don't think Lo Celso is world class. Yeah, Ndombele, although Ndombele has been poor recently.
Yeah, but Lo Celso is a great player that we could use right now.
And Lo Celso was great last season, but he's been injured.
Ndombele was not at that team at that point. He wasn't in the lineup.
No,
he's like substituting.
I think because I think that Lo Celso and Ndombele overlap each other too much.
Do you think another great attacking manager?
I think it's a like for like replacement.
Innovation and development. I think that's also part of it. Like you had to get Ndombele's fitness up to a certain level before you could start to play him and other players, him and Lo Celso. And then so for a while, Ndombele was out of the team, and Lo Celso was carrying most of that weight. Then he got injured. Ndombele's fitness started to pick up. Ndombele started to come on. Lo Celso came back. He's slow back from injury. He takes a bit to kick on, and then he got injured again when he pulled that hamstring. So then he's just been gone this whole time. But I think there was a certain point where we were seeing a high level Lo Celso, and even Jose said it. He's like, now we're starting to see who Lo Celso really is, the Lo Celso that we purchased, that we saw before, and then he pulled up lane the next match. But I think Ndombele, we've been seeing. He's been bringing Ndombele on.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Ndombele has been great this whole season. Lo
Sometimes
Celso,
that work rate, he's had a couple of matches which
he gives the ball
I'll
away
say
a lot.
relatively.
I
He's
think
been relatively great.
different solutions to the same problem. They approach the game differently, but they do the same job for us.
Yeah.
We give the ball away a lot in general, though. Like,
I think they need to be a rotation for each other.
Yeah, like they're both, I think, ideally number 8s who can play the number 10. And they both progress the ball, and they can both dribble, and they can both pass. But Ndombele is better under pressure, and Lo Celso is better with space.
Like if I was a manager, I'd be looking to bring in a different type of number 10 or a different type of number 8 even, right? Somebody maybe a little bit more defensively, and I think that's kind of Jose's mind. And then I would play them. If you're defensive minded, you have 2 holding midfielders who are strong defensively, and then you have a number 10 who can help on the defense, but is also somewhat creative. And then I would do a 60-40 split with Ndombele and Lo Celso in that number 10 spot.
I feel like
that's what I would do.
You can play both of them. I feel like there is a way to sort of play both of them at the same.
4-3-3. The only way you can play both of them is if you're playing a 4-3-3 with Ndombele on the left, Lo Celso on the right.
I think you can play both of them right now in the 4-2-3-1. Ndombele stays in the 8, Lo Celso plays in the 10.
Yeah, I think so too. I agree.
Okay,
I just don't think Lo
they...
Celso's creative enough to play number 10. I just don't.
Really?
How many assists does he have this season?
2.
Who do you want to put that on?
How many assists did he have last season?
I'm saying a member of our team that's got any number of assists and goals.
Kane's got 13. Son's got
other than
9.
The rest of our attacking players, that's what we talk about. A dearth of end product, a dearth of
But okay, for me, a number 10 has to be hitting 10-10s. If you're going to play number 10, you need to be hitting 10-10s.
You can't just judge it by that, because Son probably wouldn't make the best number 10, even though he's got a lot of assists this season.
No,
right?
but I mean, he's a left winger, and so for a left winger to get that's a great season.
No,
13 goals, 9 assists for a left winger is top notch. That's world class.
I think he's been putting some assists and some goals in. If he had been able to maintain fitness and hadn't got injury, I think Lo Celso would have.
Even last season, though, he only had 3 assists.
That's the thing. I think Ndombele is much more creative than.
Yeah, Ndombele's way better.
Sure, but even he's way more creative. He definitely is. But again,
that's why
still,
he needs to be in that 10 role.
He played in the 10 role for the majority of last season and then the early part of this season, because that's where he played him to get his fitness up. And he still wasn't turning in a ton of assists and goals. Now, he was creating opportunities.
Yeah, big chances created is fine, too.
It depends how you're playing, and it depends on your opponent, too, because think about it. If you've got a counterattack running with Son and Kane, you'd much rather have Lo Celso running with them than Ndombele, because he's quicker and he's got that better one-touch pass, one-touch shot than Ndombele.
No,
that's only in a counterattack.
Really?
But like,
if you're
talking about one-touch passing, Ndombele is way superior to Lo Celso 1,000 times.
No, running forward though on a counterattack, but I think you'd rather have Ndombele holding the ball up when you're playing possession football inside your opponent's third. Versus
in the same situation, they tend to make different choices. Lo Celso will try and push the ball out wide to create space in the middle, and then Mela's going to go through the middle and just try and dribble.
What about the Lamela chance against Newcastle, right? I think you'd rather have Lo Celso carrying that ball than Ndombele. Actually, either of them could have done the job there, but
I feel like
rather have
there's 2 goals in those situations. I don't think it's a huge difference playing either in those fast break opportunities, because listen, I say from like shooting wise, you could probably say Ndombele is a better shooter. He scored that crazy goal
through balls.
Goal against Wolves. That
better
ball
creative.
I don't know if
big chances created. No, I'm telling you right now. If you look at the 2 goals from Newcastle, right? Ndombele put it on a plate for Kane.
No, I'm not.
Lo Celso had to bounce it off 2 defenders.
But I think that's a yeah. Listen, I'm Ndombele is my favorite player on Spurs. I'm high on him. I just think that when you've got the ball running forward, Lo Celso is better in that.
That's the key.
Quick
Right there.
decision.
I play now. I mean, listen, I'll take a good 75 minutes.
Space where you're directing the attack versus Ndombele is going to do better when there's no outlets and he has to create an outlet.
Yeah, but I feel like you were putting too much pressure. It's like you have 3 players around him, and you're like, all right, Ndombele, go do your magic, skip by these 3 players.
That's where you want him to.
I think the way you look at that, you characterize that is a little. Look, Ndombele's desire is to hold the ball and deal with players. You see it. That's what he tries to. That's what he wants to do. So he almost welcomes the pressure so that he can squirrel out, and then see open field. That's how he operates.
But that's what good players want.
Yeah, but when he does
there's nothing wrong with it. But I'm saying that's not people putting pressure on him. That's him. That's how he likes to play.
Okay, but like let's say he does go around 2-3 players, and then he passes it to our number 10, which is Lucas Moura. What is he gonna do in that situation?
Well, no, I think the reason why the Ndombele is dangerous for us now is because he's playing in a number 8 role in a double pivot, which is effectively 2 number 6s. And so if he ends up giving the ball away after trying to draw in pressure in order to turn out of it and move the ball forward, which effectively slows plays down a little bit, right? If he gives the ball away, he's giving it away in a more dangerous area. So I would rather see him play in the number 10 role, right? And get in another defensive-minded center midfielder to play alongside Højbjerg, like coming back from Norwich or somebody else in that matter. And then you have Lo Celso and Ndombele, who Lo Celso can come on for Ndombele at around the 75-minute mark as an impact substitute.
Whenever you bring in the defensive midfielders, got to have offensive transitional instinct.
Skip's got transitional instinct.
Skippy can move the ball.
Skip can move the
someone
ball.
like Mateo Kovacic, somebody like that who can, or Musa Dembele, obviously that'll be the best. But like somebody who can either get past those 2-3.
Right, but I kind of see Ndombele in the mold of Musa Dembele, right?
But he has more to his game. What I'm trying to say, he has.
I mean, come on! Did you guys see that video from the club in Ndombele in training
when he flicked it over Dele's head?
Those flicks,
yeah. Right, there's no other players on our team that can do
But
that.
look, that's what Jose said the other day, right? Jose was like, "This cat is the most talented cat." He said he made the example with the French team. He's like, the fact that he's not just dominating everybody everywhere is completely on him. He's like, it's just about will and work rate because skill and ability.
He's the most talented midfielder, maybe outside De Bruyne in the Premier League. Just pure ability.
But strength and speed and work rate and like those are things that he needs.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I guess so.
I don't agree with this, Tilius. I'm sorry, but I don't think he's slow on the ball.
Oh no.
I think he slows.
I think he's saying what you were saying.
Slows tempo.
Yeah, he's saying what you were saying.
Down.
Yeah,
he's not slow on the ball.
Now, when we break.
Dictate the tempo, right? It slows down the tempo.
The thing is, one of the things I appreciate about it though, is that a lot of times when we break, we make these exceedingly low percentage passes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to slip it between 3 defenders to get it to Kane on the run we do it a lot and we just give the ball away and then it comes right back on our defense. And so when Ndombele sometimes does that or Lamela does it too. When Lamela gets the ball, he'll carry the ball wide and then start pushing forward as opposed to in order to give us some space and not take that exceedingly low percentage pass to try and break Son and Kane immediately. And I think a lot of the times too often we try and it's almost as if we're afraid to hold the ball and move with it. We just try and get the pass off quickly. And it's like all you did was see your man. You didn't actually see the opportunity. It's a wishful pass and we give the ball away.
Yep, no. But I'm gonna have to stop us here because we're hitting 3.5 hours. And I have to go to the bathroom really bad. Because I finished, I think it's 5 Sam Adams tonight. So it's time to break the seal for the first time in 3.5 hours.
All right.
But anyway, if you guys have something to promote, go ahead and promote it. We'll go around. Brandon, you got anything you'd like to promote that you got going on coming up, or
No, man. I would like to promote a Spurs victory tomorrow morning. That's what I'd like to promote.
Sounds good.
Come on, you
Abdul,
Spurs.
anything you got to promote?
I'm barely on social media, but Instagram is like official_Abdul Kareem, and then you can find me on there. I just have one quick question. It's just like a one player.
Sure.
Who would you guys have as a right mid that we can possibly get that we can slot? Because I have troubles finding
Leon Bailey.
Sorry, who?
Leon Bailey.
Leon Bailey. Okay.
A right winger.
Yeah, like a right wing. Because obviously
Right mid, right
wing,
winger. Yeah.
Yeah.
RM/RW.
Ashraf Hakimi, but I don't think that's real.
He's not. He's more defensive. I feel like because right wing is one of the most like least talented position. There's not that many world class right wingers.
Di Maria. Leon Bailey, 100%.
I love that.
Yeah, that's a good shout.
Okay.
I don't have one off the top of my head.
That's the thing. It's hard
not only
to
can
find.
he play invertedly, he can play wide as well, and he can also play on the left if you want to. If you want to talk about a look him up on SofaScore, and you can see he's got like 6 positions where he plays.
Leon Bailey?
Yeah, he's like left wing, left mid, right wing, right mid, center mid, attacking mid. I mean,
Is he like a Lucas Moura though? Like, is he that great on the final third?
He's better, way better than Lucas Moura.
Yeah, he's got 15 goals in the Bundesliga this season, maybe more already.
Way less selfish.
We should have
Doesn't have
gotten
his head down.
Wout Weghorst, the striker for Wolfsburg. Remember we were linked with him? Wout Weghorst, the Dutch striker. He's killing the Bundesliga right now.
And or I'd go for Rafinha from Leeds.
Oh, that's a great shout. I really rate him.
Yeah, everybody's been talking about Rafinha. Yeah.
Those two would be the only options I would go in for, and they're not that expensive either.
Yeah, Rafinha's probably 25 million.
No, it's like 38, 40. And then Rafinha's probably like 28, 35.
They bought him for like 25 to 30 like in the summer. So you from rents. So you should be. Yeah.
That's how it go. Dan, you got anything you need to shout out?
No, I just want to also promote a Spurs one like Brandon there. Thanks for having me on, man. Great chat tonight.
No, you guys are always welcome here on the show. I really appreciate you guys. You guys are helping me out. So I'm going to shout you guys out. Because honestly, if it was me sitting by my lonesome, ginger bearded self for the 3 hours, who would watch and listen? So, anything is it's all up to you guys, and I'm glad that we trigger people in the comments and they decided to join the stream. Because I can't stand it anymore. And Brandon, you're welcome anytime, man. I know you're a busy fellow, but you're always welcome on the show. Dan, you as well. And Abdul, thanks for coming on. This is your first time on the show. I think you've been a great guest. Please join more often. It's been great. I also want to thank Cody Mack, who came on earlier. Shasant, who finally got his audio straightened out and was able to join us. Mr. K, I think, is a great guest. You always see him in the chat for every channel out there. I think I'm the only show he's actually come on and voiced an opinion on that I know of. I think Abdul is from Canada, right?
Toronto, yeah.
Yeah. So another Canadian here in North America. We also got who else was on tonight? There was one. I'm missing one.
Mr. K.
There was another one besides Mr. K.
Oh,
can't remember. Forgive me. I've forgotten your name. But anyway, guys, thanks for joining on. I'm going to boot you guys out. I'm going to do my last 3 seconds of intro.
Yep.
And then we'll see you guys tomorrow for the after show. Hopefully it's a win. I'm going 3-1 Spurs, so I'm promoting a Spurs win as well. But we'll see you guys for the post-match show tomorrow night. That's when everybody comes on. We'll have Brian Daigle, Brian Ireland, probably the Irish Hotspur. A bunch of guys will be up here, ranting and raving. Hopefully it's a good result. Hopefully it's not a negative one like last week.
Yeah.
And Brandon, we can get a Brandon V. Dixon versus Marcelo number 2.
Two opposite sides of the spectrum.
So it's like UFC where you got the first round, the fight, and then you got the rematch.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Brandon Dixon v. Marcelo 2.
All right, guys. Appreciate it, man. Sign off.
Will.
All right. Thank you guys for
Peace
coming
out.
on. I appreciate it. You make my
Thanks,
job
man.
easy.
All right, take care.
Take care, my man. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching the stream. Oh, it's been a great show. 3.5 hours. I've had to pee for the last hour, but that's okay because lots of people watching the show. Still 23 people watching the stream, up to like 48 tonight, which is crazy. That's one of our biggest nights ever. Appreciate it. Take it easy. Remember to like, subscribe, follow, share. We got Lila Kim Hayes saying you got this. Thank you very much, Lila. I appreciate it. Abdul Kareem. Come on, you Spurs. Come on, you Spurs. Kamala Bouchal. She's not using his mom's phone. Haha. Thank you very much. Dave Hotspur saying, come on, you Spurs. Remember to stay strong. Stay Spurs. I'm rolling this outro now because my son's got training tomorrow morning early in the first thing. Let's get that win. 3-1. Let's go. Outro.
1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go now.